Welcome to The Useless Show, and yes, this is a full compilation of completely useless facts you didn't ask for, but now you're stuck with. Let's go. Before we start, comment the weirdest word you know. No explanation.
So many questions. Why is the world spinning? Why is the moon keeping its orbit? Can rockets fly backwards? The facts you didn't know you needed. The Useless Show.
Imagine being born, then having to wait nearly 3 months for your twin to arrive. That actually happened. One twin was born, and the second took 87 more days to show up. Doctors had to keep the second baby safe inside for as long as possible. Same parents, same birthday story, just stretched across seasons. You might have written it wrong your whole life, but there's no dot in Dr. Pepper. It was removed from the logo because the old font made it look weird. Like it said, D. Pepej Kiker, so the period had to go. Now it's just Dr. Pepper, no pause, all fizz. There's a real sport where players wrestle underwater while holding their breath. It's called underwater rugby. 2 teams of 6 dive and fight for a weighted ball in a swimming pool, trying to score goals at the bottom. It's like rugby, but wetter, heavier, and way more intense. Standing around doing absolutely nothing still burns calories. If you weigh about average, you're burning over 100 calories per hour just by existing upright. So next time someone tells you to do something productive, tell them, I'm already working. My body's on fire, in the laziest way possible. You don't pay a single penny to use GPS, but behind the scenes, it costs millions every single day to keep those satellites up and running. American taxes cover it, so you can get pizza without getting lost. GPS is the world's most expensive gift, and you use it to find them all. During the Second World War, Germany dropped millions of fake British banknotes over London. The goal? Crash the economy and turn people's money into worthless paper. It was a financial bomb raid, sneaky, silent, and devastating. Britain dodged bullets and bogus bills at the same time. Since the 70s, Playboy has released Braille editions of their magazine. No photos, just the articles. Seriously, the iconic brand gave blind readers access to its written content, which means someone somewhere was reading Playboy for the articles. Literally. In the game Space Invaders, more enemies on screen made the system lag, and the creator kept it that way on purpose. The slowdown made the game harder as you progressed, turning a technical issue into a feature. What began as a glitch became genius-level game design. Bulls don't hate red. In fact, they don't even see it. Bulls are colorblind, so the waving red cloth is just a blurry object flapping in their face. It's not the color, it's the motion that gets them fired up. The bull doesn't care about fashion, just frustration. Most people are right-handed, but among autistic children, being left-handed is way more common. While about 1 in 10 people are left-handed in general, among autistic kids, it's closer to 2/3. It's a brain-body twist that scientists are still trying to fully understand. Herringfish are polite talkers, but they use gas to communicate. No joke, they let out little bursts of flatulence that create sounds underwater. It's not rude, it's science. These fish literally talk with their butts. Ocean gossip has never sounded so bubbly. For years, singing Happy Birthday in public could cost you money. That simple tune was copyrighted until 2016. Want to use it in a movie? Pay a fee. A party scene? Pay again. Only after a legal battle did it finally become free for everyone to sing. There was once a punctuation mark meant to show sarcasm. It looked like a backwards question mark. Invented over 100 years ago, it never caught on. So, now we just rely on tone, emojis, or that annoying /s to hint we're joking. Maybe we need to bring it back. During one cremation, the body being burned was so overweight, it set the entire crematorium on fire. The excess fat ignited, and the blaze got out of control. No one expected a funeral fire to need a fire extinguisher. It was tragic, and a terrifying lesson in heat and human chemistry. Flossing might help you remember where you left your keys. Researchers found that healthy gums mean healthier blood flow to the brain. So by flossing, you're not just saving your teeth, you're preventing stiff arteries that hurt memory. Dental care just got way more important. When George Washington died, Napoleon Bonaparte himself gave a eulogy and ordered France to mourn for 10 days. That's right. The French emperor paused history to honor an American icon. Across oceans and politics, greatness recognizes greatness. The first edition of The Hobbit was different from the one you know. In the original version, Gollum happily offered the ring as a prize during the riddle game. No screaming, no obsession. just a weird creature playing fair. Tolkien later rewrote it to match the darker story of The Lord of the Rings. Texas had no official state flag for almost 60 years. From the late 1800s to the early 1900s, they just casually used the Lone Star flag without ever declaring it official. It was the unofficial official symbol of Texas swagger, bold and informal just like the state itself. One guy actually calculated how much wood a woodchuck could chuck, if it really could. He estimated the number by looking at dirt a woodchuck digs and comparing it to wood. Final answer? About 700 pounds. That's a lot of imaginary lumber from a rodent that doesn't chuck anything. Red Solo cups became a must-have souvenir for tourists visiting America. Why? Because they show up in almost every party scene in American movies. They're not just drinkware, they're pop culture icons. A plastic cup became a symbol of the ultimate cinematic house party. Those Swedish meatballs you eat at IKEA, they're actually Turkish. The recipe came from Turkey, brought back by King Charles XII in the early 1800s. Sweden just rebranded it so well that no one noticed. International food theft? Deliciously done. There's only one country on Earth named after a woman, Saint Lucia. Named in honor of Saint Lucy by French colonizers, it stands alone as a feminine symbol on the map. All the other nations got names from tribes, gods, or kings. Saint Lucia, she got her own island. Scientists found actual sharks living inside an active underwater volcano. That's right, lava, heat, and pressure. And these guys are still swimming around like it's a hot tub. Divers can't even get close. These sharks are living proof that nature doesn't care about your rules. Between the late 70s and the late 90s, Pluto came closer to the Sun than Neptune. Their orbits crossed paths, and for about 20 years, the ninth planet actually moved inward. Pluto had a rare moment in the spotlight before it got kicked out of the Planet Club. There's a town in Nebraska with a population of 1. Just one woman lives there. She's the mayor, the bartender, the librarian, basically the queen of everything. The entire town is her personal empire. Population, 1. Power, infinite. The Ethiopian calendar runs 7.5 years behind the rest of the world. It has been 13 months and celebrates New Year in September. While you're living in one year, Ethiopians are still in another. It's like time travel by culture, where their past is your present. And it's completely normal. In the mid-90s, the company holding the gift patent tried to charge people for using them. The internet wasn't having it. Developers responded by creating the PNG image format as a free alternative. Faced with a digital rebellion, the company backed off. That's how one picture war almost broke the web. Legend says pretzels were invented by a monk in Italy who wanted to reward children for learning prayers. He twisted dough to look like arms crossed in prayer and called it pretiola, meaning little rewards. So every time you eat a pretzel, remember, you're chewing on a holy snack of victory. The Philippine eagle is so massive it stretches nearly the size of a toddler from beak to tail. This bird doesn't just fly, it rules the sky. And yes, it eats monkeys. That's how serious it is. It's the jungle's feathered boss, and it's got the wingspan to prove it. Sepia ink, the brownish color used in art and writing, isn't just a random tone. It's actually made from cuttlefish. The animal produces a rich brown fluid that artists once used as ink. So if your drawings look deep and vintage, thank a squid. Art supplies used to come with tentacles. Eurytion of Phegalia was a Greek fighter who died in the middle of a match, but still won. While being choked, he delivered one final kick that made his opponent surrender in pain, right as Eurytion died. Judges declared him the winner posthumously. That's the most hardcore victory in Olympic history. Antarctica has no snakes, no lizards, and no reptiles at all. The freezing cold wipes out any scaly creature before it can slither. Every other continent has reptiles hiding somewhere, but not Antarctica. It's the one place on Earth where snakes fear to tread. Scaphism was one of the most horrific tortures ever invented. Victims were trapped between boats and force-fed milk and honey until insects swarmed their bodies and slowly ate them alive. It came from ancient Persia and was designed to be as long, painful, and humiliating as possible. Nature became the executioner. The famous Windows XP wallpaper, Green Hill, Blue Sky, wasn't computer-generated. It's a real photo called Bliss, taken by Charles O'Rear in California. No filters, no edits, just a lucky snap on a perfect day. and it became one of the most viewed images in history, staring from billions of screens worldwide. John Glenn, the first American to orbit Earth, also made history by being the first American to eat in space. His meal, applesauce from a squeeze tube, floating through the galaxy, tasting sweet mush from a bag. That's one small bite for man, one weird snack for mankind. Your fingerprint has around 40 unique traits, but your eye's iris? Over 250. That's why retina scanners are overtaking fingerprint locks. The patterns in your eye are practically impossible to copy. Your eyes really are the windows to your identity. Before he became a rap icon, Tupac was in ballet tights. He studied jazz, acting, poetry, and even performed as the Mouse King in the Nutcracker. He wasn't just about street beats. He had a deep, artistic side that danced to its own rhythm. In China, they don't just copy products. They've built entire clone towns. They rebuilt an exact replica of an Austrian village called Hallstatt, down to the architecture and church. Now, you can visit Austria without leaving China. The skill is so precise, even the original village was impressed. Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't just wear a robe, she had a whole collection of lace collars called jabots from around the world. Each one sent a message. Bold, elegant, and sometimes rebellious. Her jabots were more than fashion. They were armor made of lace. That extra belt strap that hangs loose after you buckle, it actually has a name. It's called the lattice. It sounds fancy, but it's just that little flappy tail you tuck into a loop. Next time it annoys you, remember, it's not just annoying. It has an identity. Peacocks aren't just about looks. They can fly. Despite dragging those massive feather trains, they can still flap into trees or rooftops. Their flights are short but dramatic, like feathery fireworks exploding into the sky. Nature didn't just make them pretty, it made them powerful. Bottlenose dolphins have memories sharper than most humans. They can remember the unique whistles of other dolphins they once lived with, even after 20 years of separation. That's longer than most people remember their school friends. Dolphins? More loyal than your childhood buddy. There's a real museum in Iceland filled entirely with penises. Over 200 of them, from mammals across the world, including one from a human. It's not a joke, it's science, history, and a lot of awkward laughter. Welcome to Reykjavik's weirdest tourist attraction. The first American steam train once lost a race to a horse. The train broke down midway and the horse trotted past like it was no big deal. At that moment, steam power had to admit defeat to horsepower. Technology doesn't always win. There's a real island called Just Enough Room, and that's exactly what it has. Barely enough land for one tree and one tiny house. You can walk across it in 2 steps. It's the most adorable territory, perfect for introverts and hermits. A group of unicorns is called a blessing. That's right. If you ever spot a magical herd of horned horses, now you know what to say. A blessing of unicorns. Makes sense, right? Because if that ever happens, you've clearly been blessed by the universe. Mob boss Vincent Gigante had a bizarre way of staying out of jail. He'd wander the streets of New York in his bathrobe, muttering nonsense, pretending to be insane. The cops thought he lost his mind, when in reality he was outsmarting them with an act straight from Broadway. And finally, there's a town in India called Santa Claus. No sleighs, no reindeer, just the name. It's one of those wild geographical curveballs that makes you double-check the map. If anyone asks where Santa lives, you can now say, in India, obviously. Wimbledon players aren't allowed to swear no matter how intense the match. That means line judges have to memorize curse words in dozens of languages just to catch violations. If you scream in frustration, better hope it's not a global insult, because someone in a striped shirt knows what you just said. In Berlin, people turned sitting into a sport. It's called aggressive sitting, and yes, it's a real competition. You can even buy a special stool made for it. They flip, hop, and balance like extreme yoga chairs. Next time someone says you're lazy for sitting down, tell them you're training professionally. Got bad breath? A cucumber might save your day. Holding a cucumber slice on the roof of your mouth for a minute can kill the bacteria causing stink. It's like a silent breath freshener disguised as salad. Nature's little green mouthwash. Crunchy and cool. Neptune wasn't spotted through a telescope first. Mathematicians noticed something weird in Uranus's orbit and predicted another planet was out there. When scientists looked where the math pointed, boom, there it was. Neptune became the first planet discovered using numbers, not eyeballs. Algebra won the space race. Crows are terrifyingly smart, They can recognize human faces and remember them for years. Be nice to one, and it might bring you gifts. Mess with it, and it'll tell its friends. You don't want to be on a crow's hit list. They literally hold grudges. She Sells Seashells isn't just a tongue twister. It's based on Mary Anning, a real paleontologist from the 1800s. She dug up dinosaur bones and sold fossil shells by the shore. So every time you stumble over that rhyme, you're actually reciting prehistoric street sales history. The official sport of Maryland is jousting. Knights in shining armor on horses with lances. Not football, not basketball. Jousting. It's been that way for decades. Somewhere in Maryland, a guy might be putting on a helmet, grabbing a lance, and yelling, "Charge!" all in the name of state pride. Those creepy witch recipe ingredients, eye of newt, toe of frog, aren't actual body parts. They're just old names for herbs. Eye of newt, mustard seed. Toe of frog, buttercup. Wool of bats, holly leaves. The witches were just making fancy salads with spooky names. In North Korea, your haircut isn't up to you. The government allows only 28 approved styles, 14 for men and 14 for women. Want a mohawk or pink highlights? Not a chance. Your hair says obedient citizen, not free expression. Even though smoking on airplanes is banned, every plane still has ashtrays. Why? Because if someone breaks the rule, there needs to be a safe place to stub out the cigarette. It's a weird leftover from the past, like putting a bucket under a fire alarm. More people now die taking selfies than from shark attacks. Cliff edges, rooftops, train tracks. Selfies have become the ultimate danger zone. So, next time you lean out for that perfect angle, remember, the shark isn't the one you should fear. Your camera is. Before Pope Francis became the head of the Catholic Church, he was a nightclub bouncer. Yep, he used to work the door deciding who got into the party. From velvet ropes to holy robes, his path to the Vatican started with saying, "You're not on the list." If you're afraid of opinions, you have a real condition called allodoxophobia. It's rare, but legit. Just the idea of someone sharing their thoughts can send a person into panic. For them, debates aren't conversations, they're psychological horror films. The US government once gave a university $1 million to study memes. Yes, memes. Those goofy pictures with text got academic funding. Indiana University researched how memes spread like viruses through the internet. Your favorite cat gif? That's federally funded science now. If you secretly crave raw potatoes, you might have a condition called geomelophagia. It's not common, but some people really want to bite into a potato like an apple. No fries, no chips, just that cold, crunchy rawness. Taste buds have their own strange cravings. The most leaves ever found on a single clover? 56. That's right, way past the lucky 4. It looked more like a tiny green explosion than a plant. If luck came in layers, that clover was winning the jackpot 20 times over. Porcupines float. Even with all those quills, they can stay bobbing in water. It's like nature made them part balloon, part cactus. You might picture them sinking like rocks, but nope. They're nature's spiky little boats, paddling through ponds like prickly marshmallows. Pigeons have helped save lives. The U.S. Coast Guard trained them to spot people lost at sea. Their eyesight is sharper than ours, and they could spot colored life vests from above. So when your drone battery dies, maybe send a pigeon next time. The world's first phone book only had 50 names. Published in the 1800s, it was a single page long. No area codes, no texting, no spam calls. Just a tiny list of people and a big dream of connection. Smart people aren't afraid to disagree. If I missed something or got it wrong, challenge me in the comments. Iron sharpens iron. You don't have to be a lawyer to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court. There's no official requirement. You could be a poet or a plumber, as long as the president appoints you and the Senate agrees. Law school? Optional. Power? Unlimited. In the mid-1800s, a man walked across Niagara Falls on a tightrope. With nothing but a balance pole, he crossed the roaring water on a wire, calmly making history. One slip would have ended everything, but he made it, because nerves of steel weigh nothing. Before 1687, clocks didn't have minute hands. They only had an hour hand. Time was rough and rounded. No rush, no seconds ticking by. Imagine living in a world where "I'll be there around 2" really meant any time between 2 and 3. Punctuality hadn't been invented yet. Play some music for your cows, and they'll give you more milk. Classical, jazz, even soft pop makes them feel calm and cozy. Stressed cows hold back, but happy cows go full dairy mode. So the next time you see a farmer with a speaker in the barn, they're not crazy. They're clever. New York City has more French restaurants than Paris. That's right, the Big Apple serves more croissants than the capital of croissants itself. It's like France packed up its kitchen and moved across the ocean. Bon appetit, New York style. A meteor slammed into Earth's atmosphere in 2018, exploding with 10 times the power of the Hiroshima bomb. But no one noticed. Until after it happened. Even NASA missed it at first. That's how vast and unpredictable the sky is. Sometimes space throws a punch, and we don't even flinch. Dim lights don't just set the mood. They mess with your hunger. Studies show that when the lights are low, your appetite drops. That cozy dinner vibe might be tricking your brain into thinking you're full sooner. So if you're watching your diet, maybe dim the lights and trick your stomach. China covers 5 time zones worth of land, but only uses 1. From Beijing to the far west, everyone lives on the same clock. That means in some places, sunrise comes at 10 in the morning. It's like time got squashed into one government-approved schedule. In ancient Rome, lemons were believed to be the cure for everything poisonous. Got bit by something? Eat a lemon. Drank the wrong potion? Lemon it up. Roman logic said sour fruit equals survival. Maybe that's why we still trust lemon water to cleanse us today. No other child has ever been elected president of the United States. All of them had siblings. Maybe growing up with brothers and sisters teaches you the politics of sharing toys, winning arguments, and surviving family dinners, essential training for running a country. Once upon a time, ketchup wasn't a condiment. It was medicine. In the 1800s, doctors sold it as a cure for indigestion. People took tomato extract to feel better, not to dunk fries. From Remedy to Burger Buddy, ketchup's career change was deliciously strange. The last letter added to the English alphabet was J. It didn't exist in Latin and wasn't officially used until the 1700s. Before that, it was often just a fancy way of writing I. So next time you write juice, remember, you're using the alphabet's youngest rebel. Egyptian pharaohs believed cabbage was a hangover shield. Before a night of royal drinking, they'd eat piles of it, hoping it would soak up the booze. This ancient trick is why cabbage and vinegar are still considered hangover remedies. History really loves fermented vegetables. The closest living relative of the mighty T-Rex isn't a crocodile or lizard, it's a chicken. That terrifying dinosaur shares ancestry with the bird you eat for dinner. So yes, your fried drumstick once had a distant roaring cousin that ruled the planet. Skulls of Neanderthals show cleanly picked teeth, hinting they used tools like toothpicks. One ancient ruler, Agathocles of Syracuse, actually died after using a poisoned one. Someone soaked it without his knowledge. Death by dental hygiene. History has never been sneakier. The tiniest insects in the world are fairy flies. They belong to the wasp family and are smaller than a grain of sand, just 0.5 millimeter long. You could fit a few dozen on your fingernail. They're real, and they're like flying specks of dust with wings. In the late 1940s, a biologist in Louisiana was eating breakfast when the waitress calmly told him that fish were falling from the sky. And they were. A rainstorm had picked them up and dropped them like scaly raindrops. That morning, the menu became freshly caught. You're old enough to know value when you see it. So subscribe. Not for me, for yourself. You've seen Roman numerals before. I for 1, V for 5. So why do clocks often show 4 as 3 eyes instead of 4? It's an old design choice, mostly for balance and symmetry. The ancient rules bent to make your clock look prettier. Before becoming president, Abraham Lincoln had only one recorded wrestling loss out of nearly 300 matches. He was tall, strong, and strategic, like a log-splitting ninja. One small-town champion turned into a national icon with a killer takedown and a stovepipe hat. The firefighter's story started in ancient Rome under Emperor Augustus. Organized firefighting brigades were formed to keep the city from burning. Before that, even ancient Egypt had water crews. Firefighting wasn't born in red trucks. It rose from buckets and sand in history's hottest places. Technically, you can pass your hand through a wall. The probability is so tiny it might never happen, but quantum mechanics says it's not zero. Your atoms and the wall's atoms could align just right. Eventually. So yes, you're part ghost, but don't try it unless you like bruises. Shakespeare's Titus Andronicus holds the crown for highest body count in his plays. Heads fly, limbs fall, and nearly everyone dies. It's the Elizabethan version of a horror film. If you thought Hamlet was dramatic, wait until you count the corpses in Titus. The biggest number you can write in Roman numerals is 3,999. After that, the Roman system gives up. No 4,000, no 5,000. The empire that built roads and armies never thought to build numbers past that. Smell is your brain's best memory keeper. One whiff of something familiar can launch you into a forgotten moment. That's because smells hit the emotional part of your brain first, faster than sight or sound. So, the scent of rain or old books, time travel in a sniff. When a new planet was discovered, grown-up scientists argued over names like Zeus and Minerva. But it was an 11-year-old girl named Venetia who suggested Pluto after the Roman god of the underworld. The adults listened, and she named a planet from her school desk. President Theodore Roosevelt owned a pet hyena named Bill. It was a gift from an Ethiopian emperor, and he kept it at the White House. Roosevelt's private zoo also included snakes, bears, and even a badger. The man loved wild animals more than most people love dogs. A day on Venus lasts longer than a year. It spins so slowly that it completes one full rotation after it finishes a full orbit around the sun. So if you lived there, you'd celebrate your birthday before finishing a single sunrise. Venus is time-bending chaos. The world's tallest sandcastle was built in Germany, towering over 50 feet high. It took over 100 trucks and more than a week just to pile up the sand. Sculptors worked day and night, turning the beach into a palace that could humble kings and collapse with one sneeze. Earth isn't a perfect sphere. It's squashed at the poles and bulging at the equator, like someone sat on a basketball and forgot to fix it. This shape is called an oblate spheroid. So when you say the world is round, you're mostly right, but not perfectly. The U.S. Supreme Court has a private basketball court on its top floor. It's nicknamed the highest court in the land. Judges and clerks have shot hoops just a few feet above where the biggest legal decisions in America are made. Justice with jump shots. Snails can sleep for 3 years straight. That's not laziness, that's survival. When things get too dry or harsh, they just shut down, hibernate, and wait. So if you think your naps are long, remember the snail. It doesn't just snooze, it goes into full shutdown mode like a slimy computer. After retiring, President Eisenhower's Secret Service codename became Scorecard. Why? Because the man loved golf. If he wasn't leading the free world, he was lining up putts. So they gave him a codename that fit right in on the green. Politics or pudding, he kept score like a champion. And Indonesia isn't just one country. It's over 17,000 islands stitched together. Volcanoes, jungles, cities, beaches. Each island has its own vibe. If you visited one a day, it would take you almost 50 years to see them all. It's not just a country, it's a universe of islands. The Great Barrier Reef stretches over 1,600 miles and is made by living creatures. Tiny coral organisms built the largest structure on Earth that's alive. From space, it looks like a ribbon of color hugging the ocean. It's the world's biggest biological team project. In 2009, scientists searching for the Loch Ness monster came up empty, but they did find 100,000 golf balls. Turns out, people had been using the legendary lake as a secret driving range. No monster, just a sea of bad swings. St. Patrick never drove snakes out of Ireland. Science says there were never any snakes to begin with. The Ice Age made sure of that, freezing them out long before the legend began. The story? Total myth. The snake drama was just poetic flair. The word ketchup comes from an old Chinese word ketchup, meaning a spiced fish sauce. That's right, your burger's best friend started as fermented seafood. Over time, tomatoes replaced fish, but the name stuck. So your fries are swimming in centuries of history. The Eiffel Tower actually shrinks in winter. Cold weather tightens the iron, making the tower a few inches shorter than in summer. It's like the whole thing tenses up in the cold, just like you do when you forget your jacket. Cats are vocal pros. They've got over 100 vocal cords, letting them purr, yowl, chirp, and meow in ways that manipulate humans flawlessly. That meow you just heard? It was designed to get exactly what they want, whether it's food, cuddles, or dominance. Johnny Eck was born in the early 1900s with only half a body, but lived twice his life. He became an honor student, a racer, a performer, a painter, even a movie actor. Doctors said he wouldn't live long. He made it to 79 years and made every second count. Sunsets on Mars glow blue instead of orange. The planet's dusty air filters out red and yellow light, leaving behind a cool blue shine at dusk. So when Martians watch the sun dip below the horizon, they don't see fire. They see ice. Termites jam harder to rock music. For real, they chew through wood twice as fast when it's playing. Researchers tested it and found these tiny pests love to shred when the riffs get loud. Your walls aren't safe if someone blasts the classics. A snail doesn't breathe like we do, it breathes through its foot. That slimy part sliding across your garden, it's full of air holes and tiny tubes. Nature looked at snails and said, yeah, let's put the lungs in the feet. Evolution has jokes. Fish actually cough, not because they're sick, but to clean out their gills. It's more like a reset button for their breathing system. So if you ever see a goldfish do a sudden twitch and gulp, it just cleared its throat underwater. An ant's sense of smell is sharper than a dog's. These tiny insects can sniff out food, enemies, and even chemical trails with mind-blowing accuracy. They don't have noses, but their antennae are like supercharged sniffers. Every crumb, every signal, it's all in the air for them. You can lead a cow up a staircase, but it won't come back down. Their knees just don't work that way. So if you're planning a farm-themed prank involving a rooftop cow, prepare for some awkward rescue logistics. Frogs can't swallow unless they blink. Their eyes actually press down through their skull to help push food into their throats. So, every time a frog eats, it has to close its eyes. It's like saying a prayer before every bite. A cat's lower jaw can't move sideways. That's why they struggle with big, chewy food. Their jaws only go up and down, perfect for crunching, but useless for side biting. Next time you see your cat chewing weirdly, blame evolution's design choices. The bullfrog never sleeps. Unlike most creatures, it doesn't go into full rest mode. Its body just stays alert, always halfway on. The bullfrog lives on edge, like a soldier on eternal guard duty. Sleep is for the weak, unless you're literally any other animal. Ancient Chinese nobles used to carry tiny Pekingese puppies inside their sleeves. These royal lapdogs were fashion accessories, snuggle buddies, and symbols of status. Forget purses. Back then, your coat came with a built-in pocket pet. A tarantula can go over 2 years without eating. It just sits in its lair, waiting, patient, calm, starving, but fine with it. Imagine having that kind of chill. You miss lunch and start yelling. Tarantulas skip 200 lunches and don't blink. Ethiopia runs 7 years behind the rest of the world. They use a different calendar that splits the year into 13 months. So technically, they're still in the past, according to us. Or maybe we're just too obsessed with future deadlines. In Denmark, you can't just name your baby anything. You have to pick from a list of 7,000 government-approved names. Want to name your kid Dragon? Sorry, not allowed. Want to call them Lars? Go for it. The name game is serious business there. Every single tweet posted by Americans is archived by the Library of Congress. That includes the funny ones, the embarrassing ones, and yes, the typos. Your midnight pizza rant? It's in the national records. The internet never forgets, and neither does history. Drinking too much water can kill you. It's called water intoxication, and it happens when your salt levels drop too low. One marathon runner drank so much her body shut down. It's a reminder that even something good, like water, can go very, very wrong. In 1812, an earthquake made the Mississippi River flow backward. For a few wild minutes, nature broke all the rules. Boats went the wrong way. Water rushed upstream. It was the earth saying, I do what I want. Physics paused for a jaw-dropping glitch. If someone loses their sight later in life, they can still see dreams. That's because their brain remembers visuals from before. But those born blind, their dreams are filled with sound, touch, and emotion, but no images. Dreams speak the language you were raised with. Australia has some of the longest, straightest, most mind-numbing roads in the world. To keep drivers awake, they put up road signs with trivia questions. Drive a few miles, and the answer appears. It's the world's weirdest quiz show, and the prize is staying alive. When India got split apart, the land we now call Bangladesh didn't exist with that name. Back then, it was called East Pakistan. It stayed that way for years, until the people finally decided they wanted their own identity, their own nation. That's when East Pakistan became what we proudly know today, Bangladesh. Before Julie Andrews became the queen of charming voices, she stepped onto the big screen for the first time in a movie called Mary Poppins. That role wasn't just magical, it made her win the biggest acting award in the world. Imagine your very first try making you a superstar forever. Helicopters usually have a spinning tail, but there's this special kind that doesn't need one. It's called a twin-rotor helicopter. Instead of one, it has two huge blades spinning in opposite directions, like a battle dance in the sky. This keeps the whole machine balanced without needing anything at the back. Hindi isn't just spoken in India, it's like a giant language that travels across hearts. So many people speak it as their first language that it ranks among the top few most spoken in the world. It's like the voice of a huge family stretching across continents and generations. Hit that like button if this content didn't insult your intelligence. In ancient myths from Greece and Rome, there was this strange tree called the lotus. But it wasn't just about the fruit, it was magical. If you ate it, you'd forget about everything else. You'd stop caring, stop worrying, just floating in lazy happiness forever. Basically, a snack that made you chill way too hard. Margaret Bourke-White was no ordinary woman with a camera. During the giant World War, she got to go right into battle zones with soldiers. She was the only outsider clicking photos in Moscow when the Nazis came storming in. She wasn't just brave, she made the war visible to the whole world. Some goldfish live a boring life in glass bowls. But one little guy proved he had the heart of a warrior. He kept swimming, eating, and blinking for more than 4 decades. That's longer than many dogs, cats, and even people live. He became the golden legend of the fish world. There was a time when only women could serve you peanuts and tell you how to buckle your seatbelt on a flight. Seriously, being a flight attendant was not allowed for men. That unfair rule was finally destroyed in court during the early 70s, and flying the skies got a little more equal. The emoji wasn't just born out of nowhere. A guy named Shigetaka Kurita made them while working on Japan's first mobile internet system. He thought, why not let people show feelings with pictures? And boom. Now every text has hearts, poop faces, and crying cats. Thank him for making chats way more fun. In subway tunnels, there's a hidden rail called the third rail. It's full of electric power and gives trains their juice to move. But touch it, and zap. It's deadly. That's why in politics, people call dangerous topics third rails. Say the wrong thing, and your career might be instantly fried. Stratigraphy sounds like a super serious word, but it's actually pretty cool. It's all about studying layers of dirt and rock. Imagine the Earth like a giant cake. Each layer tells a story about what happened long ago. It's like time traveling, but with mud and fossils, instead of a time machine. When a king named Richard III died in battle, a new guy named Henry stepped in. Henry became the first king of the famous Tudor family. He changed the game in England, married a smart woman named Elizabeth, and started a line of rulers that would shake the whole kingdom. The justice system in America used to be messy. The attorney general was doing too much alone, so they created a whole department to help him out, kind of like giving the class monitor an entire squad. That's how the Department of Justice came to be, to fight crime with more muscle. If you've ever heard a referee blow a whistle that nearly shattered your ears, it was probably the Acme Thunderer. That little thing isn't just loud, it's famous. Coaches, referees, and even movie people love it. One tiny puff into that whistle and you've got everyone's attention, no matter where you are. Imagine being a bird and skipping meals for months. That's what emperor penguins do. While protecting their eggs in the freezing cold, the dads just stand there in snowstorms, stomachs empty, not eating for weeks. They're like the ultimate bodyguards of the animal kingdom. Fluffy, waddly, but totally hardcore. The movie Up in Smoke may look silly now, but back then it was a wild ride. It didn't cost much to make, but it ended up making huge piles of money. 2 guys, just goofing around, accidentally created the first ever stoner comedy, and boom, it became a cult favorite people still quote today. Triage isn't just a fancy word from France. It's a life-saving system used in emergencies. Doctors and nurses use it to decide who needs help first. It's like lining up at school, but for survival. The worst injuries go to the front of the line, because every second can mean the difference between life and death. In the wild world of Greek myths, the goddess Athena didn't arrive the usual way. She just popped out of Zeus's head, not from a belly or a cradle, from his forehead, fully grown and fully armored. She skipped babyhood and came into the world like, I'm ready to fight right now. Mad cow disease sounds like a prank, but it's scary real. It's caused by a tiny, twisted protein that behaves like a villain. Instead of helping the brain, it turns it into mush. Cows go weird, then people too. It's proof that even the smallest thing can break the biggest creature. The Eiffel Tower once had a serious rival. When it was built, everyone thought it was unbeatable. But then came the Chrysler Building, trying to steal the title of tallest. For a while, it worked. Then the Eiffel Tower added a new antenna and snatched the crown right back. Tower drama is real. Going slower than traffic sounds safe, right? Nope. If a car creeps along 5 miles under everyone else, it actually causes more crashes than speeding a little. It's like walking backwards in a crowd. You mess up the flow and boom, accidents happen. So sometimes slow isn't safer. It's sneakier and more dangerous. In a tiny country named Andorra, people speak a language you probably never hear on TV. It's called Catalan. It's also the second most spoken language in Spain. It's like a secret code shared by a group of proud people, keeping their culture alive through every word they speak. A gin and tonic sounds all grown up and fancy, but it's just a mix of two things: gin and fizzy tonic water. Add a little lime, and that's it. Simple, right? But this simple drink has been clinking in glasses for generations, refreshing people with bubbles and a tiny zing. Mother Teresa wasn't always called that. She was born with the name Ungeza Gongse Bojakshu in a small country called Albania. She grew up, left everything behind, and gave her life to helping the poorest of the poor. Her real name may be hard to say, but her kindness was easy to see. There's a story in the Bible where a really hungry guy named Esau trades his entire birthright for just one bowl of stew. Yup, he gave up his family future because he couldn't wait to eat. It's like giving away your house just because you skipped breakfast. Hunger can make you do wild things. Long ago, a man named Thomas Jennings made history by becoming the first Black American to be granted a patent. What did he invent? A clever way to clean clothes without water, called dry cleaning. While others were still figuring out buttons, he was already rewriting the future of fashion and business. Real genius in action. Most Navy battleships were named after states like Texas or California. But there was one big exception: the USS Kearsarge. It didn't follow the rule. It stood out like a kid wearing pajamas to school, and still managed to impress. This battleship had its own vibe, and didn't need a fancy state name to shine. Imagine a heavy metal road trip that never ends. That's Ozfest, a crazy music tour created by Ozzy Osbourne and his wife Sharon. It wasn't just a concert. It was like a thunderstorm made of guitars and screaming fans. People came from everywhere just to lose their minds to the wildest rock show on earth. Canada once had a town with a hilarious name: Pile o' Bones. No joke. But eventually it got renamed to something a bit more royal: Regina, to honor Queen Elizabeth. It went from sounding like a Halloween decoration to a name that echoed in royal halls. Total glow-up, if you ask me. Just before turning 30, actor Adrian Brody pulled off something huge. He won the biggest movie award in the world for playing a sad, brave musician in The Pianist. He was the youngest guy ever to win that prize for Best Actor, and he didn't even get to enjoy it with a proper cake. Back in the 60s, a British band called The Pretty Things made a music album that told one full story from start to end. They named it S.F. Sorrow. And just like that, rock music got its first opera. No one thought guitars and drama could mix so well until they made it legendary. Up in the high mountains of South America, there's a language spoken by millions of native people called Quechua. It's not in your school books, but it's been passed down through stories, songs, and love. Even after all these years, it still beats strong like a drum in the Andes. The person running the roulette wheel in a casino, tossing that little ball and making hearts race, has a cool name: croupier. It sounds fancy, right? They're like the ringmasters of chance, making sure everything's fair while people hope their lucky number saves the day. Willie Mays wasn't just a baseball player, he was electric. Fans loved him so much they gave him the nickname Say Hey Kid. Whether he was catching balls that looked impossible or swinging like a superhero, every game felt like watching magic on a baseball field. The Chimera in Greek myths was a complete nightmare. It had the head of a lion, the body of a goat, and the tail of a snake. And oh yeah, it could breathe fire. It was like someone took 3 scary animals and mashed them together to haunt your dreams forever. A long time ago, women didn't just protest, they organized. In 1873, they formed a group called the Women's Christian Temperance Union. They wanted better rights, less alcohol, and more justice. These ladies weren't quiet. They were thundering in petticoats, starting one of the first ever female-led reform movements in America. Spain didn't always have Madrid as its capital. At one point, the king, Philip II, got tired of Valladolid and said, "Let's move it." So he shifted everything to Madrid. And just like that, the new center of Spanish power was born, all because one king wanted a new royal view. In old-school New York, many homes were built using something called brownstone. It was a tough local rock, dug up nearby and turned into rows of houses. If you see old buildings with reddish-brown steps and big doors, that's brownstone. It was like the city's original building block. During the Crusades, one of the holiest buildings, the Dome of the Rock, wasn't just for prayer. It became a base for the Knights Templar, a group of warrior monks. Imagine sacred halls echoing with sword practice and whispered battle plans. Faith and fight all under the same roof. Back when Napoleon tried to take over Spain, the people didn't just give up. They formed these groups called the Juntas Provinciales. They weren't soldiers, but they organized the whole resistance. They gathered towns, whispered plans, and pushed back against the invaders like everyday Avengers without capes. There's this weird little creature called a false scorpion. It has pincers like a crab and venom in its claws, but it doesn't have a stinger tail like a real scorpion. It's like the knockoff version. Still dangerous, just missing the scary part at the back. Creepy little ninja in the dirt. A long time ago, Russia was ruled by a guy named Michael. He wasn't just any czar. He started the Romanov dynasty, a royal bloodline that would rule for centuries. His family would eventually be involved in wars, love stories, betrayals, and revolutions. And it all began with one ruler named Michael. If you're still watching, you're not average. So prove it. Drop your thoughts below, and let's see how sharp this audience really is. When it comes to women's basketball, the Houston Comets were absolute legends. They didn't just win, they dominated. Other teams came and went, but the Comets collected championships like kids collect stickers. They were the queens of the court, proving again and again that skill and teamwork crush everything else. Rock salt isn't just something that goes on roads in winter. It's also known as halite, and it forms when salty water dries up completely. Picture a lake vanishing and leaving behind a crunchy floor of white crystals. That's halite, nature's leftover seasoning. In the world of cooking, there are 5 superstar sauces every chef must know. They're called the mother sauces. With names like bechamel and hollandaise, they're the secret behind creamy pastas, juicy meats, and fancy restaurant flavors. Get these 5 right, and you can pretty much cook anything your heart desires. Abscam was no Hollywood thriller. It was real. The FBI created a fake company called Abdul Enterprises in the late 70s to catch corrupt politicians. And it worked. They tricked lawmakers into accepting bribes on camera. It was like setting a trap with invisible ink and watching the greedy ones walk right in. Down in Florida, there's a tiny deer called the key deer. It's so small, it looks like someone hit the shrink button. And get this, it swims between islands like it's no big deal. But it's also super endangered, so people are working hard to protect this adorable island-hopping creature. Shakespeare loved ghosts. In 4 of his big plays, Hamlet, Macbeth, Julius Caesar, and Richard III, spirits actually show up on stage. These weren't just whispers in the dark. They had lines, anger, and drama. Ghosts with attitude, spooking characters into madness and making every scene a little more haunted. A brave Native American leader named Chief Joseph led his people on an epic journey to escape the U.S. Army. They were just 30 miles from the Canadian border when they got surrounded. Tired and heartbroken, he finally surrendered. His words were simple and sad. "I will fight no more forever." Alabaster may sound like something from a fantasy book, but it's actually a soft white rock used in carvings. It's made from gypsum and shines like frozen milk. Artists love it because it's easy to shape. From statues to ancient jars, alabaster has been turning rock into beauty for centuries. There's this radio show called All Things Considered that's been talking to America since the early 70s. One of its longest voices was Robert Siegel, who became the calm, trustworthy host starting in the late 80s. He guided people through big stories for decades, like the friendly neighbor who always had the latest news. High up in the clouds, way above sea level, sits a city named Sucre. But it's no regular town. It holds the power of judgment. It's the judicial capital of Bolivia. Imagine a place where every important courtroom decision climbs up a mountain before it's spoken. That's Sukra, quiet, powerful, and perched above it all. A long time ago, Kingston became the very first capital of New York, but that honor didn't last long. In the same year it was crowned, the British rolled in and burned it down. So much for celebration. It was like throwing a birthday party and having it rained on by cannonballs. Bertha von Suttner didn't fight wars, she fought for peace. Back when hardly anyone cared about stopping wars and even fewer listened to women, she stood up and shouted, "No more." Her voice was so powerful, she became the first woman ever to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Words won where weapons failed. Imagine turning your TV on in the 50s and watching history unfold like breaking news. That was You Are There, a show where Walter Cronkite told old stories as if they were happening right now. It felt like time travel through the screen. 1 minute Rome, the next, the American Revolution, all with a news anchor's tone. Only 2 states in America get called by shiny nicknames, California with its golden dreams and Nevada flashing its silver charm. These names didn't just come from nowhere. They're tied to real treasures people dug from the earth. It's like calling your friend Goldie because she always brings the best candy. The band REO Speedwagon hit a jackpot with an album called High Infidelity. It exploded in the 80s, selling millions of copies and giving them their first big radio hit. That song, Take It on the Run, blasted from car windows and cassette tapes like an anthem for heartbreak and highway dreams. Louisiana has a bird that's not only odd, it's unforgettable. The brown pelican, with its giant bill and lazy glide flying, became the official state bird. It's not the prettiest or fastest, but it's loyal to the sea and always hungry for adventure, just like the wild soul of Louisiana itself. Before the late 60s, flight attendants had ridiculous rules. If they got married or turned a certain age, 32 or 35 depending on the airline, they were fired. Yup, fired. Like being told you're too old for a party you helped plan. It took a big fight to change that nonsense. Way back in the 1830s, a guy named Louis Daguerre figured out how to trap light and turn it into memories. He used silver-coated copper plates to create the first real photographs. Those early pictures looked ghostly, but they were magic, proof that moments could now be frozen forever. Rosemary Woods wasn't just a secretary. She was the woman who stayed loyal to President Nixon through one of the biggest political scandals ever, Watergate. She'd worked with him since his early days in Congress. During the investigation, she became a name everyone suddenly knew, holding secrets and tape machines, like a silent soldier. Nellie Taylor Ross broke the rules with a smile. In the 20s, she became Wyoming's first woman governor, and not just the states, but the entire countries. Then she went even bigger, running the U.S. Mint for 20 years. From the voting booth to printing money, Nellie left her mark in ink and gold. Back in old Paris, some prisoners got a strange deal. If they agreed to marry prostitutes and move to Louisiana, they could walk free. Sounds like a plot twist from a weird romance novel, but it's real history. A jail sentence swapped for marriage and a boat ride to the unknown. Clint Eastwood proved that age is just a number when he directed Million Dollar Baby. Not only did the film win hearts, it also won him an Oscar for Best Director, making him the oldest person to ever grab that golden statue. He didn't yell action, he whispered it like a cowboy boss. The word pixel sounds modern, but it's actually a mashup. It came from the idea of picture plus element. Someone clever in the 60s thought, why not blend the two? So every tiny dot you see on a screen today, every smiley face and video, is built from those little picture particles called pixels. Believe it or not, Vermont once tried to switch teams and join Quebec. Yeah, the American state wanted to be Canadian. For a moment, the idea floated like a maple leaf in the wind, before disappearing. But it happened. Vermont almost traded stars and stripes for maple syrup and snow boots. Virginia Wade gave her country a reason to cheer loud in the late 70s when she won Wimbledon. She became the last English woman to hold the singles title. Since then, no one from England has done it. That win was more than a trophy. It was a thunderclap in tennis history. Guess what? The King of Jordan once appeared in a sci-fi show, just as an extra. Long before wearing a crown, he popped up in Star Trek. Voyager. No royal cape, just a little moment in space TV. It's like finding out your class president once danced in a background TikTok. Arizona couldn't decide on one capital for a long time. First, it tried one city, then another, and again. until finally settling on Phoenix. It was like musical chairs, but with entire governments. Phoenix won the final round and became the permanent capital, and it's been heating up ever since. The Obie Award isn't as flashy as the Oscars, but for actors off the big Broadway stage, it's everything. Created by the Village Voice in the 50s, it became the highest honor for off-Broadway performances. Winning one meant you were a rebel star shining far from the big spotlight. John Dillinger didn't just escape prison. He did it with style. He carved a fake gun out of wood, painted it black, and scared the guards into opening the doors. He tricked an entire jail with nothing but guts and a wooden toy. It was like something straight out of a wild movie. If you've ever eaten beef near the neck area, chances are you've tasted chuck. That's the meat between a cow's shoulder blade and neck. It's tough, flavorful, and perfect for stew. Butchers know it well. It's the strong, no-nonsense cut that needs some love to become delicious. The Grand Canyon looks like it was born in Arizona, but guess what? Some of the sand in it actually traveled all the way from the Appalachian Mountains. That's across the country. Time, rivers, and wind carried those grains from one end of America to the other. Talk about long-distance travel. Jack Murphy wasn't just a surfing champion. He also became a jewel thief. In the 60s, he and two others pulled off a wild heist, stealing the Star of India diamond and other gems from a museum. From waves to alarms, Jack's life switched from surfboards to handcuffs in a heartbeat. If you've made it this far, you're not normal. You're one of the rare ones. You crave knowledge not to impress, but to dominate. And if this video made your brain tingle even once, then imagine what I'm dropping next. But here's the truth. Over 90% of you won't even subscribe. They'll scroll, forget, and stay average. But if you're still here, hit that red button and prove you're not like the rest. What have you seen so far? That's just the tip of the iceberg. What's underneath is hidden. Facts are so twisted, they feel fake. If you think the world makes sense, this'll ruin that idea real quick. Let's bend reality, one fact at a time.
So many questions. Why is the world spinning? Why is the moon keeping its orbit? Can rockets fly backwards? The facts you didn't know you needed. The useless show.
A single cow, just one, can make enough milk in her life to fill hundreds of thousands of glasses. Imagine a cow standing there and saying, "You're welcome." Every time someone pours milk into their cereal, she's basically a milk machine wrapped in a moo. Africa is like Earth's hidden treasure chest. If you dig deep enough, about 1/3 of all the minerals still waiting to be discovered are buried under African soil. It's as if the planet whispered, "Hide the good stuff there," and forgot to leave a map. In all the Twilight movies, if you mash up every scene where the characters are just staring at each other silently, you'd get almost half an hour of people doing absolutely nothing but gazing. That's a lot of dramatic eye contact for one movie series. If you're standing anywhere in Central America and you feel like swimming, you're in luck. No matter where you are, the ocean is never too far. Walk or run, east or west. Eventually, you'll hit the waves. It's like being trapped inside a wet hug. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. There's actually a village in Norway called Hell. And guess what? It freezes over every winter. So if someone says, "I'll believe it when hell freezes over," tell them to book a trip. They're way behind on updates. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Koalas have fingerprints that look freakishly similar to ours. If they ever commit a crime, we might arrest the wrong guy. Imagine a detective yelling, "We found the prints," and the koala sitting there chewing leaves like, "Good luck solving that." It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. People think SOS is short for something fancy like "save our ship," but nope. It was picked because it's easy to tap out in Morse code. ... It's the emergency version of yelling help, super loud and simple. Pluto lives way, way, way out in space. It's so far from the sun that if light left the sun and zoomed toward Pluto, it would take it years to arrive. It's basically the forgotten neighbor of the solar system who barely shows up to parties. There's a wild mountain in Canada called Mount Thor, and it's not just tall. It has a vertical drop so scary that if you jumped off the edge, you'd fall faster than your stomach could scream. It's the Earth's version of a mega slide. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Chimpanzees are like our long-lost siblings. Our DNA matches so closely that if evolution were a giant jigsaw puzzle, Chimps would be the piece that almost clicks with us but has one weird corner. Basically, they're the hairy cousins we never invite to Thanksgiving. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Back in wartime, soldiers didn't just get bullets and boots, they also got candy. Tootsie Rolls were packed in their rations. So while bombs exploded, someone out there was unwrapping chocolate chewy goodness thinking, one more bite and I'll be brave again. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. The land of Louisiana was once sold by France to America for a price so cheap it's shocking. Just a few coins per acre. It's like buying a mansion for the cost of a sandwich. Some deals are so wild they make you squint in disbelief. Imagine mixing a plum and an apricot together, like a science experiment in fruit school. What you get is a pluot, juicy, sweet, and totally real. It sounds like a made-up cartoon fruit, but it's out there, waiting for your taste buds to discover its magic. In Denmark, Sweden, and Norway, there are several villages with a name that's just one letter. Oh, it's not a sound you sneeze out, it means river. If you ever ask someone where they're from and they say, oh, they're not trying to confuse you, promise. Some people are scared of spiders or snakes, but olophobia? That's the fear of flutes. Yep, musical instruments. Just imagine someone running in terror while a tiny flute toots a gentle melody. The brain is weird, and fear doesn't always make sense. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Way in the back of the US Senate chamber, there's a secret desk filled with candy. No joke, it's like the cool kid of the room. While laws are being made and serious faces are everywhere, that one desk is quietly living its best snack life. After Steve Jobs stepped away from Apple for a while, the company did something unexpected. They tried making clothes. Yup, shirts and jackets. It was called the Apple Collection. Imagine rocking an eye sweater before iPhones were even a thing. Wild fashion times. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. There was once an Egyptian king who couldn't stand flies. So he covered his servants in honey, just to lure the bugs away from him. Those poor guys were human fly traps. Ancient royalty had some seriously sticky solutions for their tiny problems. Their jaws click like tiny tools, turning the jungle floor into a living surgery room. Monaco is tiny, but people live there like sardines in a can. Thousands of folks squeezed into a space smaller than most parks. If it sneezed, you'd probably fall into the ocean. It's the most people-packed place in the world, and still somehow looks rich. When the sun sends light toward Earth, it doesn't happen instantly. It takes about as long as an average cartoon episode to arrive. So when you see sunlight, it's not fresh. It's like a cosmic replay from minutes ago. The universe runs on delay. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. The Boston Tea Party wasn't really a party, unless your idea of fun is tossing hundreds of chests of tea into the sea. That's exactly what rebels did one night to protest British taxes. Somewhere in the harbor, the ocean probably still tastes slightly of Earl Grey. Pluto is so far from the sun that it needs nearly 2.5 centuries just to take one trip around it. If Pluto were a student, it'd still be working on its first lap while Earth graduated, got a job, and retired. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Camels have 3 eyelids. Not 1, not 2, 3. They basically have a built-in sandstorm defense system. While we're blinking and crying in the wind, camels are out there like desert superheroes, barely flinching. Nature gave them goggles before goggles existed. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. You'd need nearly 500 paper dollar bills to make a pound. That's a stack taller than your hand. So if someone hands you a pound of cash, don't expect it to be coins. Expect a paper mountain that smells slightly of wallets. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Cows are thirsty giants. One dairy cow can gulp down up to 50 gallons of water a day. That's like filling a big bathtub just for her to drink. It's no wonder they make so much milk. They're basically walking, mooing water tanks. Their jaws click like tiny tools, turning the jungle floor into a living surgery room. A nautical mile is like the sea's version of a marathon cheat code. It's longer than the land mile by over 800 feet. So when ships brag about their speed, they're using extra long miles. It's like flexing in ocean speak, and the landwalkers don't even know. Antarctica is like Earth's freezer chest, but not just cold. It's packed with ice so massive that it's equal to all the water in the Atlantic Ocean. That's not a snow cone. That's a whole planet's worth of frozen water stacked like giant icy pancakes. It's the cold king of the globe. Before lighting your next candle, stick it in the freezer. Seriously. That little icy nap makes it burn slower and drip less. Science doesn't even argue. It's like the candle becomes more chill, literally, and behaves better. Fire meets freezer, and somehow they become best friends. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Your head and neck are basically heat escape artists. More than half of your body's warmth slips out from there like a silent ninja. So when mom says wear a hat in winter, she's not being annoying. She's trying to keep your heat from going on a sneaky vacation. Smiling isn't just good vibes, it's anti-wrinkle power. Every couple thousand frowns give you a wrinkle, but smiling? That keeps your skin chill. So the next time you're grumpy, remember? Your face remembers it forever. Be happy, be wrinkle-free. That's the ultimate beauty hack from evolution itself. Hop in a New York City taxi and chances are the driver speaks a language you've never even heard before. Together, all the cabbies there speak around 60 languages. It's like riding in the Tower of Babel on wheels. One ride, 100 cultures, all in one big yellow blur. New York City isn't just one big chunk of land. Nope. It's actually made up of about 50 separate islands. That's like a secret archipelago pretending to be a single city. So while you're stuck in traffic, just remember, you're basically island hopping without even realizing it. If you strike the Liberty Bell, it sings out a note, E-flat. Not just any clang, but a specific musical pitch. It's like the bell's voice is tuned to sadness and strength at once. Even cracked, it still speaks with a note that history remembers like a long, slow whisper. Way back in 1710, pigs were kicked off the streets of Philadelphia. Yep, city officials said, no more porky parades, because they kept wandering around like they owned the sidewalks. So, Bacon had to pack up and find a new path in life, off the public roads. The name IKEA isn't just random letters, it stands for the founder's name, his farm, and his hometown in Sweden. Ingvar Kamprad Elmtarid Agunarid. It's like a secret code that only the furniture understands. That's why your bookshelf is called Blurg or Snöjöfel. It's Swedish wizardry. Back in 2009, Stephen Hawking threw a party. But here's the twist. He didn't tell anyone about it until after it happened. Why? Because it was for time travelers. If anyone showed up, it would prove time machines exist. Nobody came. So time travel is either shy or impossible. Violin bows look fancy, but they've got a weird secret. The string isn't just thread, it's horsehair. Yep, real hair from real horses. Every time a violin sings, a horse somewhere unknowingly helped make the magic. Kind of beautiful, kind of odd. Music can be weird like that. Canada has fewer ships in its navy than some of the tiniest countries you've never heard of. Less than 30 total. It's like showing up to a sea battle with a kayak, while everyone else brings battleships. But hey, maybe they're just politely waiting for peace to win. In Morocco, love doesn't come from the heart. It comes from the liver. Yeah, the squishy organ under your ribs that filters toxins is their symbol of romance. So if someone says, "You have my liver," don't panic. They're not weird. They're just deeply in love. The Moroccan way. One of the popes in history was chosen when he was just 11 years old. 11. Most kids that age are still figuring out multiplication, and this guy was leading a church. Not only that, he quit and came back again. Like being pope was his weekend hobby. On a cold island called Svalbard in Norway, it's illegal to die. Why? Because the ground's too frozen to bury you. Bodies won't decompose, and diseases might wake up years later. So if you're close to the end, they fly you away. Death takes a plane out of town. Crocodiles might look like lizards, but in the family tree, they're actually closer to birds. Yep, the same creatures that chirp and flap. It's like Croc skipped the memo on wings and just kept the teeth and growls. Dinosaurs would totally invite both to the same reunion. One guy in England sipped so much coffee for his job that he insured his tongue for millions of pounds. He works for Costa Coffee as a master taster. If anything ever happened to his taste buds, it'd be like losing a treasure map. He can literally taste perfection. Johnny Cash, the man in black, took just 3 voice lessons. After that, the teacher told him, "You've already got it. Don't change a thing." Imagine being so cool even a music teacher backs away like, "Yeah, you do you." His voice wasn't trained. It was born. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Back when alcohol was banned in America, pharmacies were allowed to sell whiskey as medicine. Walgreens, the drugstore chain, exploded in size. So yeah, a lot of people suddenly got real sick and real thirsty. The flu? Nah, just a prescription for some liquid relief. Studies found that people who constantly post gym selfies and workout updates online might be dealing with something deeper. Not always, but often it's a craving for attention. So when someone flexes on your timeline, they might just be screaming inside, "Do you love me yet?" Those spiky iron underwear things called chastity belts? Total myth. Most of the ones you see in museums were made much later as jokes or props. Medieval folks weren't really locking each other up like that. It was more fantasy than fact. History got trolled hard. Almost half of all Americans live close enough to Philadelphia that they could get there in a day's drive. That city isn't just historic. It's basically the center of everyone's neighborhood cookout. You throw a rock, and someone nearby probably once had a cheesesteak for lunch. In Philadelphia, there's an actual law that says you can't sell pretzels in bags. The city that loves freedom also really cares how you snack. So if you're munching on salty twists from a sack, be careful. You might just be breaking the weirdest law ever. The board game Monopoly isn't just made-up streets. Every single property is named after real places in Atlantic City. So when you buy Boardwalk or Park Place, you're not just playing. You're pretending to be a real estate mogul in a beach town from another era. Roll the dice, tycoon. There was a clam named Ming who lived for over 4 centuries. That little sea creature was already chilling on the ocean floor when kings ruled and castles were new. Researchers found him and gasped. He was like the Gandalf of clams, wise, wrinkled, and way older than anyone expected. Every year in April, Earth throws itself a birthday party, and over 180 countries join in. On the 22nd, people everywhere plant trees, clean parks, and cheer for nature. It's like the planet gets a global group hug from humans who finally remember their guests on this spinning rock. Back in the old days, warriors didn't have band-aids. So, what did they use for cuts? Spider webs. Sticky, stretchy, and packed with healing power. Those silken threads patched up wounds like nature's first aid kit. Imagine being wrapped in webs and thinking, "Thanks, Spider-Man," before Spider-Man was even born. One big tree isn't just pretty, it's a superhero. It can pump out enough oxygen for a whole family to breathe. While you're busy scrolling or snoring, that tree's working quietly, making sure your lungs have what they need. Respect the leafy legend next time you walk by one. Siberian tigers are like giant striped cats, but unlike your couch-loving kitty, they absolutely love swimming. Lakes, rivers, doesn't matter. They dive in with pure joy. If your house cat ever saw this, it'd hiss, hide, and report the tiger to the Cats Hate Water Committee for betrayal. In the dark, tigers become night vision ninjas. Their eyes are 6 times better than ours when the lights go out. So, while you're tripping over the couch in the dark, a tiger would already be halfway to the fridge and back, all while stalking its midnight snack. Here's the sad twist. More Siberian tigers live behind bars and zoos than roam free in the wild. These majestic beasts, born to rule snowy forests, now mostly pace inside enclosures. It's a reminder that wild beauty is fragile, and sometimes we don't realize what we're caging. The jaguar once ruled from deep jungles all the way to the southern United States. The biggest cat in the West wasn't just fierce, it was everywhere. But over time, humans pushed them out. Now, they're rare, but still royal, like ancient kings hiding in leafy thrones. Imagine chomping down over 80 pounds of salad every day. That's what the giant panda does with bamboo. From sunup to bedtime, it's non-stop chewing. No sauce, no breaks, just crunchy stalks. If bamboo were a video game, pandas would be the undefeated champions of snack mode. An American group called Wildlife Forever has planted over 100,000 trees since the late 80s. That's like giving Earth a bunch of leafy high fives every year. These heroes quietly turned empty fields into forests, showing that saving the planet can start with just one little sapling. Manhattan wasn't always skyscrapers and honking horns. Long ago, it was wild and bursting with animals. Just like Yellowstone today. Deer, bears, birds. It was a jungle hiding in city clothes. Imagine trading taxis for tigers. That island had more nature than most people will ever believe. Dogs bark and whine and howl. That's about 10 sounds, but cats? Those fluff balls have over 100 vocal tricks. Meows, purrs, growls. They're like furry opera singers. So next time your cat meows, just know it's choosing from a menu of meows you probably don't even deserve. Pelicans have beaks that could win food-eating contests. They can hold more snacks in their beak pouch than they can stuff in their bellies. It's like their face is a giant lunchbox. When fish see it open, they don't scream. They just dive for cover. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Cats are secret superheroes when it comes to jumping. They can launch themselves 5 times the length of their own tail. That's like you jumping over a bus without running first. If cats wore capes, we'd finally understand what they were training for on top of refrigerators. Flying fish don't just flap around. They rocket out of the ocean at crazy speeds, then glide through the air for hundreds of feet. It's not flying like birds, but it's close. They're like fish that looked at the sky one day and thought, yeah, we want that. The roadrunner doesn't just exist in cartoons. It's a real bird that zips across deserts chasing prey at blazing speeds. It's basically the bird version of a sports car. Quick, light, and always in a rush. Wile E. Coyote wasn't wrong to be jealous. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. There's a fish that spits like a sniper. The archerfish shoots a stream of water from its mouth to knock bugs off branches. Boom. Target down. Snack delivered. It's like having a built-in squirt gun with perfect aim. The fish world has its own secret assassins. The spotted skunk doesn't just spray when it's mad, it puts on a little circus show first. It flips into a handstand, waves its legs, and gives you a final warning. If you don't back off, prepare to smell like rotten disaster. The handstand is cute. The stink is not. Male crickets don't hear with ears like us. They've got little hearing spots on their legs, specifically their shin bones. It's like nature said, let's shake things up. So while you're wondering what that chirping sound is, the cricket is listening with its knees. Wild, right? It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Spiny lobsters love a good parade. When it's time to move, they form a line. Dozens of them, marching across the ocean floor like a conga line of crustaceans. No music, just underwater hustle. It's part migration, part dance party, and totally adorable. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. The National Park Service is like Earth's ultimate babysitter. They watch over more than 300 parks, keeping 80 million acres clean, green, and wild. That's like guarding a treasure chest of forests, mountains, deserts, and dreams. If nature had superheroes, they'd wear park ranger hats. A daily walk isn't just good for your steps, it's good for your sleep. Taking time to move those legs under the sky helps your brain chill out later. It's like your body's saying, thanks for the walk. Now here's better dreams. The sidewalk is basically medicine. Making recycled paper uses way less energy than making the fresh stuff, like almost half as much. It's like the difference between sprinting and chilling in a hammock. So next time you recycle a notebook, imagine your paper going, thanks buddy, I needed that nap. 1 ton of recycled paper saves around 17 trees. That's a tiny forest spared because someone chose the blue bin. Imagine all those trees waving their branches in gratitude. Recycle a little, and you're basically a forest guardian in disguise. Think about that. Just standing there, quietly saving your breath without asking for anything in return. Steel is the comeback king. No matter how many times you melt it, reshape it, or reuse it, it's still strong. 100% recyclable means it's the superhero of metals. Tough, flexible, and always ready for round 2 or round 20. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Rechargeable batteries are like the phoenixes of the gadget world. You can juice them up again and again, up to 1,000 times. It's like pressing a reset button every time they feel tired. Your TV remote and phone owe their lives to these tiny, unstoppable energy warriors. Want to check if an egg is fresh? Drop it in water. If it sinks, it's good. If it floats, it's old. It's like the egg's way of saying, I'm past my prime, by doing a lazy backstroke. Science meets breakfast in the weirdest kitchen trick ever. A camel doesn't sip water. It inhales it. In just a few minutes, it can drink 25 gallons, like it's trying to empty a small swimming pool. While you're still finishing your glass, the camel's ready to cross the desert like a giant furry tank. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. One big oak tree doesn't just stand tall, it sweats. Seriously. In a single day, it can release 7 tons of water through its leaves. That's like crying a whole swimming pool into the air just to keep the forest cool. Nature's air conditioner never stops working. In Belgium, there's a museum dedicated entirely to strawberries. Walls, displays, facts, all about those little red fruits. It's like a love letter to berries, with seeds, sweetness, and history. If strawberries had a fan club, this place would be their palace. These little companions always find a way to surprise us with how much they understand. More people around the world eat mangoes than any other fruit. Apples? Nope. Bananas? Close. But mangoes win the snack crown. Juicy, golden, and sweet. They've taken over taste buds in nearly every country. When in doubt, mango it out. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. The strawberries are covered in tiny yellow dots, but those aren't just decorations, they're seeds. And the average strawberry wears about 200 of them like freckles. It's the only fruit that shows its seeds on the outside. Basically, it's nature's way of showing off. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. A strawberry isn't technically a berry, but a banana? That totally is. Confused yet? Welcome to fruit science, where names are lies and bananas beat strawberries in a game they didn't even know they were playing. Botanists must laugh a lot. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Fresh apples float in water because they're full of air. About 1/4 of their body is just empty space. So when they take a dip, they bob up like tiny boats. Bite one, and you're munching on fruit with a built-in life vest. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. The very first fruit eaten on the moon wasn't space-themed, it was a peach. Yup, astronauts cracked open some juicy goodness while floating above Earth. No aliens, no lasers, just soft, fuzzy fruit making history in zero gravity. The moon got its first bite of Georgia. It's almost like space itself needed a spotlight, and the moon volunteered to be the stage. Despite its name, a pineapple isn't an apple or anything close to a pine cone. It's actually a giant berry. Imagine a berry that hit the gym, grew muscles, and put on a spiky helmet. Pineapples are the bodybuilders of the fruit world. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. A snail might move slow, but inside its mouth, absolute chaos. These little creatures can have 25,000 teeth, more than a shark, a lion, and a whole dentist's office combined. All that hardware, and they still choose to eat leaves at half a mile per week. You can't see a polar bear on an infrared camera. Not because it's sneaky, but because its fur is see-through and reflects heat so well, it basically turns invisible. It's like nature handed it an invisibility cloak and said, "Go rule the ice." It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Spider silk is no joke. It's stronger than steel if you match it by weight. That tiny thread you flick off your shirt could hold up a building if it were thick enough. Spiders are the silent engineers of the bug world, spinning magic one strand at a time. If you somehow threw the planet Saturn into a giant bathtub, it would float. Seriously, it's so light for its size that it's like the beach ball of the solar system. All those rings? Just bonus-style points on the universe's biggest pool toy. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Twins have a spooky habit of being left-handed more often than single babies. No one really knows why. It's just another twin thing. From matching clothes to mirror image hands, twins keep the world guessing with their twin stinks. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Some people are so scared of vegetables. It's a real phobia. It's called lechanophobia. Broccoli, panic, carrots, terror. It's not about picky eating. It's full-on horror movie fear. Salads turn into nightmares. Lettuce never looked so threatening. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. There are more than 2,000 types of cactuses. Big ones, tiny ones, twisty ones. They're like the plant world's version of Pokemon. Most of them are just chilling in deserts, surviving with zero water and maximum style. Spiky, proud, and impossible to kill. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. The chicken is the closest living relative to the T-Rex. Yeah, that tiny feathered clucker used to have a giant roaring ancestor. So next time one pecks your shoe, remember, you're dealing with a tiny dinosaur in disguise. Evolution just made them less bitey. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Every single scorpion glows under ultraviolet light. Shine a black light on one, and it lights up like a glow stick. Scientists still aren't sure why. It's like the scorpions are keeping their secrets hidden in neon. They're basically living disco bugs with claws. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. India's Statue of Unity towers over the world. It's taller than any other statue, nearly 600 feet high. It makes the Statue of Liberty look like a garden gnome. Built in honor of Sardar Patel, it's more than a statue. It's a steel giant standing for unity and pride. Believe it or not, potatoes have more chromosomes than humans. Those humble spuds are rocking extra genetic gear like it's no big deal. So while we're worrying about homework and taxes, potatoes are chilling underground being overachievers. Respect the root. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. A full moon isn't just romantic. It's way brighter than a half moon. Like 9 times brighter. That's a glow up you can feel. It's as if the moon's shouting, "Look at me," with all its shiny power. Werewolves don't stand a chance. It's almost like space itself needed a spotlight, and the moon volunteered to be the stage. Your brain is only a tiny part of your body, just 2%, but it uses 1/5 of your energy. That's like a phone app draining your whole battery. Thinking hard isn't just mental, it's physically exhausting. Brains are energy hogs with big ideas. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Poison ivy and poison oak are liars. They're not ivy, they're not oak, they're members of the cashew family. Yup, the same group that brings you snacks also brings you itchy rashes. Mother Nature has a twisted sense of humor and a very confusing family tree. Plants don't just sit there, they feel things too. When they're sick, they can actually get fevers just like us. Their temperature rises to fight off diseases, proving they've got defense systems. Imagine a little daisy with a thermometer in its mouth whispering, "I think I caught a leaf cold." If geysers had a headquarters, it would be Yellowstone National Park. More than half of the world's geysers, those boiling, spraying fountains of steam, live there. It's like nature's own pressure cooker playground. Walk through the park and you'll feel like the ground is breathing hot breath straight from Earth's core. Geese are fancy with their group names. On the ground, they're a gaggle, like a noisy family reunion. But the second they take flight, they're a skein, slicing through the sky like feathered fighter jets. Same birds, new name, just because they decided to flap instead of waddle. Polar bears are basically superheroes of sniffing. They can smell a seal chilling under the ice from 20 miles away. That's like you smelling pizza across an entire city. When hunger hits, a polar bear's nose turns into a seal-detecting radar. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. In Australia, they love wordplay. When someone says Aristotle, they don't mean the ancient Greek guy. They mean a bottle. It's slang that rhymes, like a secret code. So if you hear someone ask for an Aristotle of water, don't start quoting philosophy. Just pass the drink. Of all the bugs crawling around, only one can turn its head to say, "What was that?" The praying mantis. While other insects stay stiff, the mantis swivels like it's hearing secrets. With those big eyes and a turning neck, it's like the owl of the insect world. The United States once bought all of Alaska from Russia for just about 2 cents per acre. That's cheaper than chewing gum. They basically got mountains, wildlife, and glaciers for the price of pocket change. Russia probably still feels a little salty about that sweet deal. Dogs run hotter than humans. Their average body temperature sits at about 101 degrees Fahrenheit. That's why they pant so much. They're walking heaters wrapped in fur. So when your dog flops down, it's just trying not to melt into the floor. These little companions always find a way to surprise us with how much they understand. Eagles once caused a budget meltdown. Scientists put trackers on them to study flight patterns, but the birds flew into areas with high phone charges. Every time they texted their location, the bill exploded. One bird alone sent enough data to bankrupt the entire study. Oops. Garden worms are full of surprises, like the fact that they've got 5 pairs of hearts. Not 1, not 2. 10 tiny pumps keeping their squiggly bodies alive. No wonder they wiggle so energetically. They're little heart-powered engines turning dirt into treasure. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Your brain is mostly water, about 80%. So when someone says you need to stay hydrated to think clearly, they're not kidding. Your thoughts are practically floating. It's like having a squishy sponge up there working as a supercomputer with the consistency of a water balloon. Of all your fingers, your middle one has the fastest growing nail. That's right, the rebel finger doesn't just make bold statements, it also grows quicker than the rest. Maybe it's showing off, maybe it's competitive, but it's always ahead in the nail race. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Your brain runs on the same power as a 10-watt light bulb. That's like a tiny nightlight glowing in your head, making dreams, memories, and ideas. It doesn't take much electricity, but it uses it brilliantly. Brains are low-energy, high-performance machines. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Just like no 2 fingerprints are the same, everyone's tongue has a unique print. You've got your own personal tongue identity badge hidden in your mouth. If your tongue ever goes missing in a spy movie, it'll definitely be easy to track. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Most toes have 3 bones, but your big toe, only 2. It's the chonky one, the captain of balance, and it doesn't need as many pieces to do its job. It's like the boss who gets stuff done with fewer tools and still calls the shots. You breathe about 23,000 times a day without even thinking about it. That's your lungs doing cardio without permission. Every inhale, exhale adds up like tiny quiet claps keeping your body alive. Your breath is the background hero in every single thing you do. Yes, lightning can totally strike twice. In fact, it often does. It's not picky. So if you thought it couldn't happen again in the same spot, think again. Lightning's got favorites, and it's got no problem visiting more than once. Boom, flash, repeat. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Before it became Tennessee, the state went by a different name, Franklin. Yep, they named it after Benjamin Franklin, hoping he'd support their independence. He didn't, but the name stuck around for a while anyway. It was like sending a shout-out that never got a reply. Stop signs weren't always red. They used to be yellow because red paint faded too fast in the sun. But by the 1950s, new materials made long-lasting red possible. That's when red became the new warning boss. And now drivers around the world instantly know it means stop. Try tickling yourself. Doesn't work, right? That's because your brain already knows what's coming. It's like your nerves are in on the joke and refuse to laugh. Tickling only surprises others, not yourself. Your body's funny that way. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Owls live on almost every continent, except Antarctica. That cold, snowy land has penguins and seals, but not a single hooting bird in sight. Maybe the owls took one look at the ice, said nope, and stayed somewhere warmer, where mice are easier to find. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. If you ever wondered how many ways you can make change for $1 using coins, the answer is nearly 300. 293 combinations to be exact. That's a lot of math hiding in your wallet. Coins are secretly puzzle pieces in your pocket. Shakespeare didn't just write plays, he made up words too. Assassination. That was his invention. Bump. Also him. The man literally wrote the dictionary while writing drama. If he couldn't find the word he needed, he just made one up. Total language hacker. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. One French author wrote an entire novel, over 200 pages, without a single verb. That means no action words like run, laugh, or eat. It's like trying to build a Lego castle without bricks. How did he pull it off? Pure literary wizardry. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Australia has no active volcanoes. Not one. It's the only continent that's volcanically asleep. While other places have lava bubbling and mountains rumbling, Australia just sits there quietly like, yeah, I'll pass on the explosions. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. The dots on dominoes? They're not just spots. They've got a cool name. Pips. Tiny little points of power that decide your next move in the game. Every time you slam a domino on the table, those pips are silently screaming, I win! It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Now, here's a math trick that sounds fake, but it's real. Take 111,111,111 and multiply it by itself. The answer is a perfect stair-stepping number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mind blown. Tug of war wasn't just a playground showdown. It used to be an Olympic sport. Teams pulled with all their might for gold medals. Imagine athletes training not to run or jump, but to yank a rope harder than the other guys. Peak teamwork. Pure tension. Zero slack. The city we call Bangkok, that's just a nickname. Its full Thai name is over 100 letters long. It's like a poem and a tongue twister got married. Locals shorten it for obvious reasons. Imagine trying to spell that on your passport. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. In ancient Greece, if a guy tossed you an apple, it wasn't a snack. It was a proposal. That fruit meant, I want to marry you. So if someone flings an apple your way, duck or say, I do. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Even though karate is famous in Japan, it actually started in India. Yup, the roots of those epic punches and kicks began with martial moves to protect themselves. The journey from temple to dojo was long, and full of epic chops. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. That never-ending sideways 8 is called a lemniscate. It's the official symbol of infinity, meaning something that never ends. Whether it's love, space, or your homework pile, this curly little loop is the fanciest way to say there's no finish line. These little companions always find a way to surprise us with how much they understand. Kids shoot up like sunflowers in spring. Science says children grow faster during that season. Like nature flipped the growth switch. Sunshine, longer days, and fresh air all whisper to their bones, "Go ahead, stretch." It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Want to say a word? You'll need 72 muscles to do it. Lips, tongue, throat, chest, they all team up just to make one tiny sound. Saying hi is actually a full body performance your muscles don't get enough credit for. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Old-time sailors wore gold earrings not just for fashion, but because they believed it would help their eyesight. No joke. They thought the shiny metal worked like magic glasses. Sea legends sure had some wild ideas, but hey, at least they looked fancy. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Your eyes stay the same size your whole life, but your nose and ears, those two never stop growing. It's like the rest of your body signed a contract to stop, but your face parts said, nah, we'll keep stretching forever. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Umbrellas are ancient, more than 4,000 years old. Egypt, China, Greece, they all had versions of these shady tools. But originally, they weren't for rain. They were meant to block the sun. That's right. The umbrella began as a portable patch of shade. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Every single hour, over 1 billion of your body's cells get replaced. Boom. New ones roll in like a microscopic construction crew. You're constantly rebuilding without noticing. Right now, parts of you are younger than your breakfast. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Women's hearts usually beat faster than men's. It's not a competition, it's biology. Tick, 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 like a soft drum that stays one step ahead. It's a quiet reminder that inside, we're all wired just a little differently. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. 6-year-olds are laughter champions. They crack up about 300 times a day. Adults, maybe 15 to 100. So yeah, growing up means giggling less, but maybe we just need more silly jokes, tickle fights, and ice cream emergencies. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Kids have way more taste buds than adults. That's why broccoli tastes like betrayal when you're little. As we grow, we lose some of those buds. So things you once hated, you might suddenly love. Taste buds are little rebels that retire early. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. The very first electric traffic lights were built in Cleveland, Ohio. Before that, crossing the street was kind of a gamble. Thanks to Cleveland's bright idea, cars stopped crashing and walkers finally got a fair shot. Red, yellow, green. City life changed forever. Think about that. Just standing there, quietly saving your breath without asking for anything in return. South Carolina gave America its first taste of homegrown tea. Before that, it all came from faraway lands. Now, thanks to a bold farm in the South, Americans could sip tea from their own soil. Hot, sweet, and proudly local. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. The word rookie comes from recce, short for recruit back in the Civil War. So next time you call someone a rookie, remember it started with real soldiers learning the ropes. From battlefield to baseball field, it's all about being the new kid on the block. President Taft was the heaviest ever, 329 pounds of power. Meanwhile, President Madison was the lightest, barely hitting 100. It's like America's version of heavyweight and featherweight champs leading the country with very different sizes, but the same level of boss energy. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Harry Truman was the last president who didn't have a college degree. No fancy diploma, but he still led the country through war and peace. He proved that brains and courage don't always wear graduation caps. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Abraham Lincoln was a skyscraping 6'4", while James Madison barely hit 5'4". That's a whole foot of difference. It's like Big Abe and Little Jimmy stood side by side and someone said, same job, different altitude. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Franklin Roosevelt had presidential connections galore. He was related to 5 other presidents by blood and 6 more by marriage. It's like he had a family reunion, and the guest list looked like a White House history book. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Thomas Jefferson didn't just write the Declaration of Independence, he also invented the coat hanger. So next time you grab one from your closet, say thanks to a founding father who kept your shirts wrinkle-free in spirit. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. President Theodore Roosevelt had a pet bear. Yes, a real bear. In the White House. While others had cats or dogs, Teddy went full wild. The man who faced wars and wilderness didn't stop at normal pets. He brought the forest home. These little companions always find a way to surprise us with how much they understand. President Warren Harding once gambled so hard during a poker game that he lost official White House dishes, like actual government plates. Imagine being so into cards that your next dinner party had to be served on paper plates because you bet the porcelain on a pair of 2s. Back when horses were traffic, Ulysses S. Grant got busted for speeding on horseback. He was going so fast, police fined him $20. That's like a cowboy getting a ticket for riding his steed like it's a race car. Even back then, fast meant trouble. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. President Taft was a big guy, over 300 pounds. One day, he sank into the White House bathtub and got stuck. Really stuck. They had to build him a custom-sized tub after that. So basically, he was the reason presidential bathrooms got an upgrade. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. One time, a fortune cookie company printed lucky numbers that just happened to match the lottery. Over 100 people used them and won. The odds? Crazy. Those cookies didn't just tell fortunes, they made them. Somewhere, a cookie must have whispered, "This one's gonna hit." It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. President Harry Truman's middle name is just S. It doesn't stand for anything, just the letter. His parents couldn't decide between 2 grandfathers' names, so they picked one letter to represent both. The most mysterious middle name in politics is literally just S. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. The youngest person to become U.S. president was Theodore Roosevelt. He took office at age 42. Most people are figuring life out in their 40s. Teddy? He was already running the country, wrestling bears and giving speeches like a history book come alive. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Koalas have the chillest sleep schedule ever, up to 22 hours a day. They nap so hard. Their dreams probably have dreams. It's like being a professional sleeper with part-time eucalyptus snacking duties. If there were a sleep Olympics, koalas would win gold without waking up. Australia once released just 2 dozen rabbits into the wild. 6 years later, they had turned into 2 million. That's not breeding. That's a bunny explosion. It was like rabbits found cheat codes and broke the ecosystem by multiplying like math problems gone rogue. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Butterflies taste with their feet, not their mouth, not even their tongue. Their back legs are the taste testers. Every time they land on a leaf, it's like licking it with their heels. High fashion, high flavor. Foot-based food reviews. Only in Butterfly World. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. The golden orb spider spins webs that are ridiculously strong. One strand, same size as a steel wire, can hold just as much. It's basically spider silk versus metal, and silk wins. So if spiders ever learn how to build bridges, watch out, engineers. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. The bumblebee bat is one of Earth's tiniest mammals. It's so small, it weighs less than a penny. Imagine a creature that flutters like a shadow, and you could lose it in your pocket. It's like nature's whisper-sized superhero. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. In a corner of Panama, there's a place where trees grow square. Not round, square. The trunks form rectangles like wooden Legos sticking out of the ground. It's so rare, it's the only known place on Earth like it. Mother Nature clearly has a geometric side. Forget glass slippers. The original Cinderella was Egyptian, and she wore fur slippers. The whole glass thing, that came much later. In the beginning, it was all about cozy, fuzzy footwear fit for a queen. Fairy tales got colder over time. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Those tiny plastic tips on shoelaces, they're called aglets. That's their whole identity. They're like the unsung heroes that keep your laces from unraveling into spaghetti. Without aglets, tying your shoes would be a daily nightmare. So give them a little respect. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Before they were called ties, they were cravats, fancy cloth neck pieces worn by Croatian soldiers. The French saw them and said, "Ooh la la," and the necktie trend began. So next time you suit up, remember, you're dressing like a historic Croatian warrior. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Barbie's full name is Barbara Millicent Roberts. She's not just a doll. She's got a whole secret identity. From toy shelves to fashion runways, she's been silently ruling the world with a middle name that sounds like she owns 5 yachts and a pink convertible. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. The first toy ever advertised on TV was Mr. Potato Head in the 1940s. Before that, toys didn't do commercials. But Mr. Potato Head changed the game. He didn't just grow a mustache, he grew into a marketing legend with detachable ears. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. No matter how scrambled a Rubik's Cube gets, it can always be solved in 17 twists or less, if you do it perfectly. That's like untangling chaos with a few flicks of the wrist. Behind every colorful mess is a pattern just waiting to be cracked. The side of a hammer has a name, it's called a cheek, like your face. So next time you're hammering a nail and you turn the tool sideways, just know you're working with its cheek. Tools have body parts too. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. In Athens, if you're driving and look sloppy or smell funky, the cops can take away your license. Seriously, it's written in the law. Clean shirt? Check. Showered? Good. Otherwise, it's no driving for you. Greece does not mess around with hygiene behind the wheel. The Saturn V rocket that took astronauts to the moon, it gobbled up 15 tons of fuel every single second. That's like feeding it a truckload of fire every heartbeat. Space travel isn't just science. It's lighting a giant candle and hoping it doesn't eat the sky. A rocket can fly to the moon faster than a stagecoach could cross England. That's not just speed, that's time travel vibes. While horses clip-clopped for days, modern astronauts sip juice and float in zero gravity. From hay bales to moon dust in one giant leap. It's almost like space itself needed a spotlight, and the moon volunteered to be the stage. Air molecules around you are zipping like rifle bullets, even though everything feels still. At room temperature, the very stuff you breathe is moving at supersonic speeds. So yeah, your living room is secretly a battlefield of tiny, invisible speed demons. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. The lollipop got its name from a real racehorse called Lollipop. This candy on a stick wasn't just tasty, it was a tribute. So every time you unwrap one, you're actually honoring a horse who ran fast enough to earn a sugary legacy. Sweet, huh? It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Maine is the only state in the entire United States with a name that's just one syllable. That's right. While everyone else is taking 2 or 3 beats, Maine keeps it short and sharp. It's the quiet kid in the class who still manages to stand out. The US once printed a $100,000 bill. It wasn't for shopping, just for bank transfers. No one outside a vault ever used it. Imagine pulling that out to buy gum and the cashier just passes out. It's the ultimate flex you'll never see. Before it was called the White House, people called it the President's Palace. But in the early 1900s, someone decided White House had a cleaner, cooler vibe. And just like that, the most famous house in the world got a serious rebrand. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. George Washington was the only US president elected by a unanimous vote. That's right, everybody agreed. No debates, no haters. Just a country full of people saying, yeah, that guy's the one. He wasn't just first, he was the people's absolute favorite. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. John Adams got defeated by his own vice president, Thomas Jefferson. It's like your assistant becoming your boss. The vibe must have been awkward. One day they're teammates. The next day, you're handing over your keys while he moves into your desk. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. New York City's subway tracks stretch for over 800 miles underground. That's longer than the entire state of Texas from east to west. It's like a secret spaghetti monster of steel that moves millions every day, only instead of sauce, it runs on screeching brakes and pizza fumes. Manatees blink in circles. When they close their eyes, their eyelids don't just shut up and down, They spin around like a camera lens. Nature gave them a cinematic blink. Somewhere, a director is jealous of how smooth their eye action is. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Venus is farther from the sun than Mercury, but it's way hotter. Why? Because it's got a super thick atmosphere that traps heat like a mega blanket. It's the ultimate example of looks being deceiving. Cooler location, hotter situation. These little companions always find a way to surprise us with how much they understand. Black holes don't just swallow stars, they sing. Scientists discovered that some black holes vibrate and produce a sound in the key of B flat. You can't hear it with your ears, but space is literally humming. The universe has a bass line, and it's coming from the void. Horses can't vomit, their bodies just don't allow it. So if they eat something bad, they can't toss it back. That's why colic is dangerous for them. Basically, horses are committed to every bite. No takebacks, no you, never mind. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Babies are born with around 300 bones, but as they grow, some fuse together. Adults end up with 206. So yes, you're actually losing bones as you age. But don't worry, you're also gaining bone superpowers in return. More solid, less wiggly. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. When newborn babies cry, no tears come out. That's because their tear ducts aren't fully working yet. For the first few weeks, they're just doing dry drama. They cry like tiny soap opera stars with invisible tears. All emotion, no puddles. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. A single day on Venus is longer than a year on Venus. That means Venus spins so slowly, the sun rises and sets fewer times than it goes around the sun. If you lived there, your birthday would come before tomorrow. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. Squirrels forget where they hide more than half their nuts. They spend all fall preparing snack stashes, then forget where they buried them. The bright side? Those forgotten nuts grow into trees. So, squirrels accidentally plant forests while trying to meal prep. Think about that. Just standing there, quietly saving your breath without asking for anything in return. The first US coin to feature a real person was the penny. Honest Abe's face made history by landing on that shiny little copper circle. Before that, coins just had symbols and numbers. Lincoln's face gave pocket change a personal touch. It might sound simple, but the more you think about it, the wilder it gets. So if your brain's still intact, don't stop now. There's more madness waiting in the next one. You thought this was wild? Click and descend further. I'll meet you there. Forget everything you thought you knew about useful information, because today we're diving into a hilarious compilation of the most brilliantly pointless facts you'll ever hear. So, kick back, relax, and prepare for a healthy dose of knowledge that you absolutely can't do anything with. Before we dive in, drop a comment. What's the most useless fact you know? Let me know below.
There are things happening in this world. Things so strange, so unbelievable, you'd think they were pulled from a movie. But they're not. They're real. Moments in history that never made the textbooks. Well, that changes today, because today we will pull back the curtain.
So many questions. Why is the world spinning? Why is the moon keeping its orbit? Can rockets fly backwards? The facts you didn't know you needed. The useless show.
Johnny Depp doesn't just act in movies, he shreds on a guitar too. He's jammed with rock legends like Marilyn Manson, Aerosmith, Oasis, and Eddie Vedder. Imagine Captain Jack Sparrow stepping on stage, grabbing a guitar, and suddenly turning into a rock star. That's real. Depp lives like a full-blown legend. There's a thing called Christian atheism, and it's not a joke. These folks follow Christian values and stories, but don't actually believe in a real God. To them, the Bible is one giant metaphor, and God is just a fancy name for human kindness. Not some sky-dwelling superhero with powers. Carmen de la Refis started modeling when she was 15. Now she's over 80 and still modeling like a queen. Most people her age are chilling in rocking chairs, but she's walking runways and posing for cameras. She's basically proof that confidence and fierce style don't have an expiration date. There's a cruise ship called The World where people actually live. Permanently. It sails around the planet while rich folks chill in million-dollar apartments. And get this. They pay almost $300,000 a year just for maintenance. It's basically a luxury city floating endlessly across oceans. Rich people stuff. Africa and Europe are just 23 kilometers apart. That's like a half marathon. People are even planning to build a giant bridge called the Strait of Gibraltar crossing to connect them. Imagine driving from Europe to Africa like it's no big deal. That's one heck of a road trip. In Germany, there's a regular concrete bridge painted to look like it's made out of giant Lego blocks. Seriously. It's called the Lego Brücke, and it looks like someone hit Minecraft creative mode in real life. It's so playful that it actually makes people smile just by walking underneath it. There's a fancy name for collecting picture postcards. It's called deltiology. Sounds like a made-up subject, right? But nope, it's real. People actually treat it like a science, studying those colorful little cards like they're ancient scrolls. So next time you send a postcard, just know, you're part of a whole movement. Justin Timberlake and Ryan Gosling weren't just Disney stars. They were practically brothers. When Ryan's mom had to move for work, Justin's mom became Ryan's legal guardian. So yeah, while we were in school fighting over crayons, Ryan and Justin were out there growing up under the same roof. Before Macklemore was famous for thrift shopping, he worked in a juvenile detention center, helping troubled kids write rap lyrics. He used music to help them express emotions, tell their stories, and basically find their voice. Not all heroes wear capes, some wear hoodies and drop beats with real purpose. One of the rules in the iTunes user agreement literally bans people from using it to build nuclear, chemical, or biological weapons. Like someone at Apple actually typed that out. Imagine planning world domination and Apple's like, whoa, buddy, not with our music app. It's oddly specific and totally hilarious. There's a massive hole in Utah called the Bingham Canyon Mine. Humans dug it so deep, it's over 1 kilometer down and 4 kilometers wide. It looks like the earth got scooped out by a giant spoon. It's so big you could drop a city in there and still have room. Before Nemo swam across hearts worldwide, he made a sneaky appearance in Monsters, Inc. as a toy Boo gave Sully. That was 2 years before Finding Nemo came out. Pixar hides Easter eggs like a secret club for fans. It's like they're whispering, "Did you catch that?" in every movie they make. Someone made real Wizard of Oz-style shoes that can guide you home with GPS. Click your heels and boom, they lead the way. Fun twist? The book's author partly named Oz after seeing OZ on a filing cabinet. Legendary stories sometimes begin with the weirdest, most boring stuff around you. 3 books at Harvard are literally bound in human skin. Yup, skin, not leather, humans. Long ago, this creepy practice was actually a thing. You'd think that belonged in horror movies, but nope. It's sitting on Ivy League shelves, probably whispering dark secrets while students walk by without even knowing. Vietnam is home to a cave so big, it has clouds and forest inside it. Son Doong Cave stretches nearly 9 kilometers long and is tall enough to fit a skyscraper. You could get lost in there for days and still not see the whole thing. It's like Earth's secret underground jungle. Bob Marley's final words to his son weren't about fame, fans, or even music. He said, "Money can't buy you life." That one sentence hit harder than any lyric. Even with all his success, Bob knew what mattered most, and he left behind a message worth more than all the gold in the world. There's a strange thing called the friend paradox. It means your friends, on average, have more friends than you do. Sounds like a prank, but it's real math. It happens because popular people get counted more often in everyone's friend list. So don't stress, it's not you, it's statistics playing tricks. Your phone sends out electromagnetic waves that can heat up body tissue and mess with over 100 proteins in your brain. That little brick in your pocket isn't just texting, it's zapping out invisible signals nonstop. It's safe in short bursts, but maybe don't sleep with it under your pillow. Turbulence on an airplane is like surprise popcorn, sudden and unpredictable. It doesn't matter if the sky is clear, it can still toss your plane like a roller coaster. Pilots handle it all the time, but for passengers, it's like being on a bumpy ride with invisible hands shaking the whole plane. Ancient Rome was insanely packed, 8 times more crowded than modern-day New York City. Picture a massive, bustling city with tiny streets, giant crowds, and no escape from the noise. People lived, shopped, fought, and partied, all crammed together. Rome wasn't just a city, it was shoulder-to-shoulder chaos in a toga. Getting struck by lightning heats your skin to 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hotter than the surface of the actual sun. In less than a second, your sweat boils, your clothes might catch fire, and your body lights up like a flashbulb. It's nature's terrifying version of flipping a switch. The Hawaiian alphabet only has 12 letters. That's it, just a E, E, I, O, U, H, K, L, M, N, P, and W. Imagine writing stories or singing songs with just those. It sounds limiting, but Hawaiians make it sound like poetry. It's minimal, beautiful, and surprisingly musical. Only one bird in the entire world can fly backward, and it's the tiny hummingbird. It's like the helicopter of the bird world, zipping around like it's glitching in real life. It doesn't walk, it doesn't hop, it hovers, rewinds, and zooms with precision. Basically, it's a feathery little superhero. Flamingos have one weird eating rule: they can only eat with their heads upside down. Yeah, for real. Their beaks are shaped like upside down scoops. So every snack is like a headstand feast. It's funny to watch, but completely normal for them. Flamingos are basically the acrobats of the bird world. Back in 1915, a university study found that yellow is the easiest color to see from far away. That's why taxis are yellow. They pop out in traffic like highlighters on wheels. So next time you spot one, instantly thank science. It's not fashion, it's visibility on wheels. The Happy Birthday song is over 120 years old, and it's copyrighted. Yup, the tune you sing over cake is owned by Warner Chappell Music. That's why you rarely hear it in movies or shows. Using it without permission? That could get you sued for celebrating. Pablo Escobar, the infamous drug kingpin, made so much money in the 80s, he spent over $2,000 a month just on rubber bands. Yeah, just to wrap his cash. In today's money, that's more than $7,000 monthly, just to hold paper. That's not a wallet problem, that's an empire. The odds of an American getting struck by lightning are about the same as someone in Japan getting shot with a gun. Sounds wild, but it's true. Guns are super rare in Japan, while lightning, well, it doesn't care where you are. It just strikes when it wants. Back in Victorian London, the mail came 12 times a day. 12? You could write to someone in the morning and get a reply by lunch. People basically had real-time texting with pen and paper. It was the ultimate old-school messaging system, powered by walking and paper instead of Wi-Fi. Until 1934, sheep actually grazed in Central Park, like real fluffy sheep chilling in New York City. They were moved during the Great Depression because people were scared someone might eat them. One minute, it's a peaceful park. The next, it's dinner. Nature and city life used to mix a lot more. Back in 1781, the U.S. Articles of Confederation had a wild clause. If Canada ever wants to join the United States, it'll be automatically accepted. No tests, no forms, just walk in like a VIP guest. Canada never did it, but the invitation is literally still hanging there. There's a real word for that weird pins and needles feeling you get when your foot falls asleep. It's called paresthesia. Sounds like a magic spell, right? One second you're chillin', the next you're stomping like a pirate with a wooden leg trying to get feeling back. Our nerves sure love pranks. Matt Groening, the genius who created The Simpsons, didn't make up Marge's name. His mom's real name was Marge Wiggum. So, yeah, Homer's wife is based on the actual woman who raised the guy who made the cartoon. The Simpsons isn't just funny, it's secretly a family scrapbook with yellow skin. In ancient Rome, chariot racers were the rock stars of their time. These guys earned more than some modern athletes. People bet fortunes on them. They had groupies. They were basically the Cristiano Ronaldos of old-school horse racing, but with armored danger and stadiums packed with fans screaming louder than Colosseum lions. Reciprocal liking is a fancy psychology term that means this: you're more likely to crush on someone if you find out they like you first. That's it. Our brains love to feel wanted. It's the emotional version of you go first, and it's low-key why school crushes feel extra magical. A group of stingrays is called a fever. Not a swarm, not a squad. A fever. Imagine a bunch of stingrays floating together like underwater UFOs, and someone goes, "Yeah, that's a fever." It sounds spooky, mysterious, and strangely poetic. Sea creatures definitely have cooler group names than land animals, and people think white spots on fingernails mean you're low on calcium or vitamins. Nope. They're actually called leukonychia, and usually happen from tiny nail injuries, like when you jam your finger and forget. Totally harmless. So don't panic. You're not turning into a ghost or missing nutrients. You probably just bumped something. Venus is Earth's mysterious twin, but unlike us, it has 0 seasons. That's because it isn't tilted on its axis like Earth is. No spring, no fall, no weather mood swings, just one endless planet-sized summer. If Venus had a wardrobe, it would be tank tops forever. Forever. If an astronaut removed his suit on the moon, he wouldn't just pass out, he'd explode. Literally. Space has no air pressure, so the body swells like a balloon and bursts before suffocating even happens. Space is not a chill place. It's beautiful, yes, but also brutal if you mess around. Earth is the only planet not named after a god. Mars? Named after the god of war. Jupiter? King of gods. Venus, goddess of love. Earth, just Earth. It's like the chill one in a family of drama kings and queens, quietly spinning while the others party in mythological style. The biggest volcano in the entire solar system isn't on Earth, it's on Mars. It's called Olympus Mons, and it's 3 times taller than Mount Everest. That's not a mountain, that's a planetary skyscraper. If you stood on top, you'd be above the clouds, on another planet. That's Martian level flexing right there. Over 20% of the world's oxygen comes from the Amazon rainforest. That's like every 5th breath you take being a gift from jungle trees. It's not just a forest, it's Earth's lungs. If it ever went silent, the whole planet would be gasping. Rainforests don't just look cool, they keep us alive. Hot water can freeze faster than cold water. Yup, it's real and called the Mpemba effect. A student from Tanzania noticed it in science class, and now the weirdest freeze in history is named after him. Science isn't always about rules, sometimes it's just about noticing something weird and asking why. Light doesn't always move at the speed of light. That speed, almost 300,000 kilometers per second, is only true in a vacuum. In real life, light slows down through stuff like water or glass. So yeah, light has a top speed, but sometimes it hits traffic like the rest of us. Technetium was the first man-made element ever created, way back in 1937. Scientists didn't discover it, they built it. Today, it's used to find health problems in your body and even protect steel from rust. It's like the Iron Man of elements, built in a lab, helps save lives, fights decay. Steven Spielberg got offered the story of Schindler's List, but waited over 10 years before making it. He felt too immature to handle the heavy truth behind it. When he finally filmed it, the movie shook the world. Sometimes the right story waits for the right moment, and the right heart. Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Mario, Donkey Kong, and Zelda, wasn't allowed to ride a bicycle. Why? Nintendo said he was too important. If anything happened to him, they'd lose their legend. So they made him drive instead. When your brain creates icons, even your ride becomes company property. One lightning bolt has enough energy to toast 100,000 slices of bread. That's breakfast for a small country. Imagine nature screaming, "Pop!" and zapping a whole bakery's worth of toast in an instant. You could feed a stadium? Or just make the world's most terrifying toaster. Over 50% of all lottery tickets are bought by only 5% of the people who play. Yeah, a tiny group is keeping that dream machine alive. They're either super hopeful or super addicted. Either way, most people play once, but a few treat it like a full-time mission. Flamingos are born gray. That bright pink color? It's not natural, it comes from shrimp. The more they eat, the more their feathers change. So technically, flamingos are walking shrimp-flavored mood rings. It's like eating enough spicy chips to turn orange. Nature's got filters too. Flamingos just eat theirs into existence. At the 1912 Olympics, a Japanese runner named Shizo Kanekuri started a marathon and vanished. He quit mid-race and quietly flew home. Sweden thought he was missing for 50 years. In 1966, he returned and finished the race, with a time of 54 years, 8 months, and 6 days. Graphene is just 1 atom thick, nearly invisible, but it's the strongest material on Earth. 1 million times thinner than paper, yet 200 times stronger than steel. It's like Spider-Man webbing turned into science. If you had a sheet of it, you'd be holding the future in your fingers. In 2011, a trucker in New Zealand fell on a high-pressure air valve that jammed into his backside and inflated him like a balloon. He literally doubled in size and survived. It took 3 days to deflate, mostly by burping and farting. Sounds fake, but science said nope. Stephen Hawking once got asked about his IQ. His answer? I have no idea, but people who brag about their IQ are losers. That's like Einstein doing a mic drop. Genius without ego hits differently. The smartest man alive casually roasted every know-it-all trying to flex their test scores. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who created Sherlock Holmes, actually used Holmes-style logic to solve real crimes. He helped free 2 innocent men from prison by finding the truth in closed cases. That's like writing Batman, then becoming Batman. Doyle wasn't just a storyteller, he became the detective he imagined. Ecology is the science of housekeeping. Not a joke, it's real. So yeah, cleaning your room? That could be science. Organizing closets, scrubbing floors, folding laundry. It's like chemistry and strategy had a baby in your living room. Next time someone says, it's just chores, hit them with, it's ecology actually. In 1988, a woman awaiting trial for a fatal car crash vanished. 15 years later, she got caught after drunkenly bragging in a bar about escaping justice. Imagine hiding for over a decade just to spill the beans after one too many drinks. Karma's favorite place is happy hour. Intel literally employs a futurist named Brian David Johnson, whose entire job is to predict how life will look 10 to 15 years from now. He dreams of the future for a living. That's not a sci-fi character. It's a real person being paid to time travel with imagination. Yang Yuan King, the CEO of Lenovo, got a bonus of $3 million in 2012 and gave it all away to 10,000 employees. Then he did it again in 2013. That's the kind of boss who walks in, throws money around, and says, "This is for you." Thailand has a magical festival called Loy Krathong. Once a year, thousands of glowing sky lanterns float into the night like stars being released by the people. The whole sky lights up in warm, golden waves. It's like 1,000 dreams rising slowly into the air all at once. In ancient Rome, life was no fairy tale. Most people only live between 20 to 30 years. That means by the time you're done school, you're already middle-aged there. Imagine your birthday cake having just 20 candles and people saying, "Wow, you're still alive?" Ancient life was seriously rough. Yu Yuzhen, a millionaire from China, cleans streets for $228 a month. She's 53, could be relaxing in a mansion, but chose to sweep roads to show her kids the value of work. That's next-level parenting, less bragging about riches, more teaching with a broom and real grit. A false awakening is when your brain tricks you into thinking you've woken up. But surprise, you're still dreaming. You might brush your teeth, eat breakfast, even go to school in the dream, until you wake up again. It's like hitting snooze inside a dream loop, your brain's version of prank mode. A group of zebras is called a zeal, not a herd, not a pack, a zeal. Sounds like they're running around with passion and purpose. Picture a bunch of striped horses galloping together with vibes so strong, someone had to name them after pure energy. Zebras? Total squad goals. The Savannah cat is a house cat that looks like a leopard and acts like a golden retriever. It can grow up to 40 pounds, leap 8 feet straight into the air, walk on a leash, and play fetch. It's like someone took jungle, dog, and cat settings and clicked yes on all. The Curiosity rover is not just a robot, it's also a lonely birthday singer. On Mars, all alone in 2013, it played Happy Birthday to itself. No cake, no party hats, just space silence, and a little robot celebrating 1 year of rolling around the red planet. Talk about dedication. Walt Disney holds the record for most Oscars ever won by one person. 22 golden statues. That's more than some actors even dream of. It's like every time he made a movie, someone handed him an award. The guy wasn't just drawing cartoons. He was building a whole magical empire. In the 1960s, Alcatraz was the only prison with hot showers. Why? So inmates couldn't get used to cold water, meaning they'd freeze if they tried escaping through the icy San Francisco Bay. The prison used comfort to crush dreams of freedom. Diabolical and genius all at once. Jonathan Lee Riches sued over 2,600 people and things, including the Eiffel Tower and the entire Guinness Book itself. Yup, that's how he got in the book. His nickname? The most litigious man in the world. He turned suing people into an extreme sport. Lawyers probably had him bookmarked. In Somalia, pirates actually have a stock market. Locals invest in pirate groups like they're startups. One woman gave a group a rocket launcher, and when they succeeded in hijacking a ship, she earned $75,000. It's like Shark Tank. If the sharks were real and had actual sharks, math anxiety is a real condition where your brain freaks out so badly over numbers, it blocks itself from solving problems, even if you're good at math. It's not about being dumb, it's about panic hijacking your brain. Basically, numbers become monsters if your brain thinks they're chasing you. Ramon Artagaveitia survived a shipwreck in 1871 and never stepped foot on a ship again. For 41 years. When he finally did, it was the Titanic. Yeah, he beat one disaster only to board the most infamous one ever. Some people have bad luck. He had legendary history book level luck. In 2013, a man got kidnapped by masked men with guns, right in front of his wife. Everyone freaked out. Turns out, it was fake. He planned the whole thing just to party with his friends. That's not just lying, that's Hollywood-level lying with costumes and fake crimes. When Atari made Breakout, Steve Jobs promised to split the payment with Steve Wozniak 50-50. Atari paid Jobs $5,000. He told Wozniak they paid $700, giving him $350. That means Jobs pocketed the rest. Moral of the story, not even tech gods are immune to shady math. After Stalin had a stroke, his guards were so terrified of him, they didn't call a doctor for over 10 hours. They feared that if he survived, he'd kill them for acting without permission. So they waited and waited, and the dictator died. Fear ruled even his final hours. During World War II, Russia trained 40,000 dogs to blow up tanks. The plan? Strap bombs on them and send them running under enemy vehicles. The problem? Many dogs ran back to their trainers. Instead of destroying enemy tanks, they blew up their own troops. The horror was real. That famous Dragon Ball Z line, "It's over 9,000, was a translation error. The actual line was over 8,000. One tiny voice dub mistake made meme history. Fans didn't care. The energy was there, the voice cracked just right, and the meme exploded into internet legend. The Solvay hut is the world's most extreme mountain hut, perched 13,000 feet up a cliff in Switzerland. It's for emergencies only. You don't hike to it. You survive your way there. It's the kind of place you crawl into after cheating death and whisper, "Thanks, little wooden house." An old Persian king asked wise men to make a ring that made him happy when sad, and sad when happy. They gave him one etched with the words, "This too shall pass." It worked. That tiny message was more powerful than a sword, reminding him every feeling is temporary. Amazon workers at distribution centers walk up to 17 kilometers a shift, picking up packages every 33 seconds. It's like being on a treadmill made of cardboard and deadlines. You don't rest, you don't chill, you just hustle like you're racing a robot that's always 2 steps ahead. Triskaidekaphobia is the fear of the number 13. It's so real that buildings skip the 13th floor, planes skip row 13, and some people won't even leave the house on Friday the 13th. It's just a number, but to some, it's a spooky curse wearing a fake mustache. In Cuba, if you're hitchhiking and a government car passes by, they have to stop and pick you up. It's the law. Imagine flagging down a ride and getting scooped up by an official car like it's Uber, but communist edition. That's public transport with presidential-level commitment. In the year 2000, the KKK adopted a stretch of highway. Yeah, straight up sponsored a road. Missouri clapped back by renaming it the Rosa Parks Highway. That's how you fight hate, with style, respect, and one legendary name painted across the very road they tried to claim. The longest train ride on Earth stretches from Vietnam to Portugal, covering over 17,000 kilometers without switching trains. That's like hopping on at dinner and getting off several breakfasts, languages, and time zones later. It's not a ride, it's a time-traveling story through countries, cultures, and train snacks. People think hookah is safer than smoking cigarettes, but nope. Studies show hookah smoke can be even more toxic. One session can pump your lungs full of more harmful stuff than an entire pack of smokes. It's smooth, it smells nice, but your lungs don't care about the vibe. They're choking. There's a museum in Europe that only displays items left behind after breakups. It's called the Museum of Broken Relationships. You'll find teddy bears, notes, wedding dresses, all heavy with heartbreak. It's like walking through people's emotional earthquakes, one teardrop souvenir at a time. Sad, weird, and kind of beautiful. Nikola Tesla and Mark Twain weren't just famous, they were besties. The electric genius and the storytelling wizard hung out, admired each other's work, and geeked out over science and words. It's like Iron Man and Shakespeare playing chess together. If they had a podcast, it would have broken the internet. The sun and moon look the same size in the sky, but that's a cosmic coincidence. The moon is 400 times smaller than the sun, but also 400 times closer to Earth. That's why solar eclipses fit perfectly. Space basically pulled off the universe's cleanest visual illusion. In 2008, a Japanese man noticed food kept vanishing from his kitchen. So he set up a webcam and discovered a homeless woman had been secretly living in his closet for a year. Not a week, a year. Like a full-on ghost roommate who never paid rent. London has a building nicknamed the Walkie-Talkie that reflects sunlight so intensely it melted parts of parked cars. Like actual metal bubbling off. Architects basically built a giant curved magnifying glass and pointed it at the street. Oops. Welcome to the unintended laser beam district. In 2013, Russian bears were caught sniffing jet fuel like it was candy. They'd stalk helicopters just to inhale the drops of leftover fuel. These weren't regular forest creatures, they were jet-fueled junkies, totally addicted. When bears turn into fuel-chasing thrill-seekers, you know, nature's got some wild subplots. The handshake started way back in the 5th century before Christ. Swordsmen would meet with their weapon hand empty to show they weren't looking for a fight. That simple gesture evolved into the modern handshake. So, when you high-five someone today, remember, it started as a peace treaty with no swords. In China, 85% of people share just 100 last names. And the surnames Li and Zhang alone represent over 13% of the entire country's population. That's like the whole world being named just Smith, Lee, and Jones. Imagine a roll call in class. It'd be total chaos. Even without hitting the gym, a silverback gorilla can lift more than 1,763 pounds. That's roughly the weight of a full-grown bison. These beasts aren't just about looks, their sheer strength is enough to snap thick branches like toothpicks. Imagine having that kind of raw power. No protein shake required. A millionaire named Forrest Fenn hid treasure worth up to $3 million somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. The only way to find it? Solve his mysterious poem. People have searched for years, no one's cracked it yet. It's like a real-life national treasure, but with riddles and freezing mountain danger. The movie Cannibal Holocaust was so realistic, the director had to go to court and prove the actors weren't actually murdered. For real. He brought them into court alive. That's how intense the film was. Imagine making something so scary, the judge thinks it's a true crime documentary. At just 15 years old, Anne Makasinski invented a flashlight powered by body heat. No batteries, just hands. Later, she built a headlamp that runs on the same thing. While most kids struggle with science homework, Anne lit up rooms with nothing but science, curiosity, and warm fingers. Ninjas never actually wore black. That's just a movie drama. In real life, they wore dark navy blue because it blended better at night. According to ninja museums in Japan, the navy made them invisible in the shadows. So yeah, real ninjas were stylish, sneaky, and scientifically color-coordinated. Red pandas are tiny acrobats. When they climb trees, their long, fluffy tails help them balance like tightrope walkers. And in winter, they wrap those same tails around themselves like cozy scarves. Basically, red pandas are part ninja, part gymnast, and part adorable winter fashion icons. Google doesn't care about your GPA or test scores during job interviews. Why? Because they found those numbers don't predict success at all. What matters more? Problem solving, creativity, and attitude. So that straight A show-off from math class might get dunked on by someone who thinks differently, and Google's smarter. Only 5% of Norway's transactions are done in cash. The rest? All digital. By the year 2020, experts said Norway might go completely cash-free. Imagine living in a place where coins are ancient history, and even your grandma uses her phone to buy bread. The future's got Nordic vibes. In The Matrix, Neo's passport expires on September 11th, 2001. That's the exact day of the real-life terrorist attacks. Years after the movie was filmed. No one noticed until it was paused and zoomed in. Creepy coincidence or glitch in the Matrix? Either way, it's spine-tingling. The Ben Franklin effect is pure psychological wizardry. If someone does you a favor, they're actually more likely to help you again, not less. Weird, right? Helping builds loyalty. It's like brain judo. Instead of bribing people, you let them invest in you. Franklin wasn't just smart, he was Jedi-level clever. Some babies are born with their ear cartilage folded over like a little taco. It's called littling. But there's a mold called earwell that can reshape it in just 6 weeks. That's right. Tiny ear hats fixing baby tacos. Science really out here doing plastic surgery before you can walk. In Copenhagen, bikes outnumber people. They've got 5 times more bicycles than cars. Over half the city rides to work or school. It's basically one giant spin class disguised as daily life. Forget traffic jams. It's all pedal power, 2 wheels, and Danish determination. In the United States, if your email is more than 180 days old, the government can legally read it without a warrant. Yeah, that's right. Old emails equals open season. The laws from before people used email like diaries. Now it's just digital snooping with a timestamp. Gravity Labs in India made ink out of air pollution. They capture carbon soot from car exhaust and turn it into markers, spray paint, and pens. One Air ink pen holds up to 40 minutes of emissions. It's like writing your thoughts with yesterday's pollution. Saving the planet, one doodle at a time. By 2019, Apple had sold over 1 billion iPhones. That's 1 billion tiny screens glowing in people's hands. Basically, every 8th person on Earth owned one. Imagine stacking those phones. Boom! You've built a skyscraper to the moon and still have enough left over to selfie the stars. NASA's Juno spacecraft flew 1.74 billion miles to reach Jupiter. Launched in 2011, it arrived 5 years later, on the 4th of July. It flew through space like a patriotic science rocket, delivering cosmic fireworks right into Jupiter's orbit. That's one giant leap for robot kind. Luke Akins, a 42-year-old daredevil, jumped out of a plane from 25,000 feet. With no parachute, no wingsuit, nothing but air and guts. He landed safely in a 100-square-foot net. That's one-third the size of a football field. He basically high-fived death and stuck the landing like a boss. In a 2008 study, researchers infused the scent of roses and rotten eggs into dreams. Rose-smelling dreams turned sweet and magical. Rotten egg dreams? Straight-up nightmares. Your nose becomes a director in your sleep. So yeah, sweet dreams might literally come from a spritz of flower-scented air. There's a hotel in Idaho shaped like a beagle. It's called the Dog Bark Park Inn, and yes, you sleep inside a dog's belly. You climb into its head for the loft, and the snout is a reading nook. It's like staying inside Clifford's chill cousin, built for naps and giggles. In 1958, a dad in New York named his two sons Winner and Loser. The twist? Winner became a criminal and Loser became a police officer. Real names, real story. Life just stared at those names and said, "Hold my drink." You can't name your destiny, but you sure can flip it. In 1971, astronauts from Apollo 15 placed a tiny aluminum statue on the moon. It honors all astronauts and cosmonauts who died in space programs. Next to it is a plaque listing their names. Even the moon has a memorial now, a space graveyard for Earth's bravest explorers. Squirrels are surprisingly wholesome. If a mama squirrel dies, another squirrel might adopt her baby. No reward, no fuss. Just straight-up woodland kindness. It's like the animal kingdom's version of "I got you, fam." Turns out even fuzzy-tailed nut hoarders have hearts bigger than their winter food stash. In parts of South Asia, Africa, and China, monkey brains are considered a delicacy. They're soft, digestible, and often fed to kids. Entire cookbooks even exist for it. Yup, some people serve what others protect at the zoo. Culture really decides what's lunch and what's a selfie with a banana. To become a man among the Satara Ma tribe, 13-year-old boys wear gloves filled with bullet ants, known for having one of the most painful stings on Earth. They must endure the pain without screaming for 10 minutes. If they cry, they're not men yet. That's manhood with bonus pain points. Octopuses are the ultimate escape artists. In fights or panic, they might tear off their own arm. Sometimes they even eat their limbs. No joke. Scientists think it could be stress or disease. Either way, it's wild. Imagine being so dramatic your go-to move is, "Fine, I'll just chew my arm." Flamingos don't just strut. They fly. And fast. Up to 55 kilometers per hour while flying in synchronized flocks. But with long necks stretched forward and legs dangling like noodles, they look hilariously awkward. Speed? Yes. Style? Depends how much you love spaghetti in flight. In California, driverless cars can't legally go over 97 kilometers per hour. The law says no human means no high speed, even if the car is literally a genius on wheels. Imagine your robot car trying to flex, but the government's like, "Nope, not without a license, pal." Photomath is a real app that solves math problems just by pointing your phone at them. No typing, no thinking, just scan and boom, solution. It's like having a tiny math wizard in your pocket whispering answers like, "Relax, I got this." Teachers fear it. Students call it salvation. Lobsters are basically aliens hiding in oceans. Their teeth are in their stomachs. Their brain is in their throat. Kidneys? Chilling in their head. Nervous system? Hiding in their belly. It's like evolution took a puzzle, shook it up and said, "Good luck figuring this one out." The Carrot House in Warsaw is so skinny it looks like a joke. It's only 92 centimeters wide at its narrowest point. You can barely fit a fridge, but somehow it's a home. It's not a house. It's an architectural dare. And yes, someone actually lives there. Africom is a website that lets you watch wild animals live, 24/7 in protected parts of southern Africa. Giraffes, elephants, hyenas, you name it. It's like a safari without leaving your couch. Forget reality TV. This is nature's drama, broadcast in HD with 0 scripts and maximum attitude. A 1966 Volvo hit over 3 million miles. That's not a typo. One car. 3 million miles. Most cars retire after a few birthdays, but this legend kept rolling like the Terminator on tires. It's basically the marathon runner of automobiles, and it's still not done. Horror movies sneak in infrasound. Frequencies too low for humans to hear, but powerful enough to mess with your body. You won't hear it, but you'll feel it. Anxiety, chills, heart thumps. That eerie fear in scary movies. Sometimes it's not the jump scare, it's the ghostly baseline under your skin. In Japan, you can literally pay a handsome man to come to your office, watch sad videos with you, and wipe your tears. Crying is considered therapeutic. So, yeah, imagine sobbing in your cubicle while a model pats your back, like, let it out, you beautiful soul. That's next level emotional support. Charles Baldwin created the biohazard symbol. He didn't want it to mean anything at first. That way, people would learn its meaning from scratch. Memorable but meaningless, he said. And now it's globally known. Proof that sometimes the best designs start with zero baggage and end up on lab doors forever. Climbing Mount Everest isn't cheap. Between Sherpas, permits, and gear, it'll cost you between $60,000 and $120,000 US dollars. That's not a hike. It's a luxury mission to the edge of human limits. For the price of a sports car, you get snow, suffering, and bragging rights. Matt Stutzman holds the world record for long-distance archery, and he has no arms. He uses his feet. The guy pulls a bowstring with his legs and still hits targets farther than anyone else. It's not just skill, it's defiance wrapped in talent. Limits? He erased those like they never existed. Esther Okade was just 10 years old when she joined university. She aced algebra at age 4 and had the highest exam scores in her class. While most kids were learning how to spell Wednesday, she was solving equations like a human calculator in sneakers, a real-life child prodigy. The rarest wild cat in the world is the Bornean bay cat. Between 1874 and 2002, only 12 have ever been captured or studied. That's one cat every 10 years. It's like Bigfoot with fur and claws, real, mysterious, and barely seen by human eyes. In Shani Shingnapur, India, none of the houses have doors. Zero. Not homes, not businesses, not schools. People believe anyone who steals will be cursed with 7 years of bad luck. It's not law, it's faith. And somehow, in a world full of locks, this tiny village lives completely open. In 1883, a man and a bear were found dead side by side. The ground around them was destroyed, as if a hurricane touched down. People believe they fought to the death. One final man versus beast showdown. No survivors. Just raw wilderness and a story written in scratches. There are over 500 ways to cook potatoes. It's not just a guess, it's a documented recipe collection, gifted to Britain by the wife of former Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev. Forget cookbooks. This was a starch-based diplomatic flex, because when in doubt, win hearts and bellies with carbs. There's a vodka bottle worth 3.75 million US dollars. Why? Because it's filtered through sand made from crushed diamonds and gems. Drinking it doesn't give you superpowers, but it'll empty your bank account faster than you can say, on the rocks. That's luxury with a splash of insanity. A study in the Journal of Positive Psychology found that 2/3 of people don't know what they're good at. Not unsure, completely clueless. That means most folks walk around totally unaware of their strengths. Imagine having a superpower and never using it because you don't know it's there. In 2014, Beyoncé made $3.65 every single second. That's not per hour, not per minute. Per second. While you blink, she banks. While you sneeze, she earns lunch money for 10 people. Queen status isn't just a title, it's a rhythm backed by pure income. The Pixar team created Wall-E: A Bug's Life, Monsters, Inc., and Finding Nemo, all during one lunch break in 1994. Just sitting at a table, casually inventing cinematic gold like it was a to-do list. Creative explosions happen when talent, snacks, and imagination sit at the same table. There's a floating stage in Singapore that can hold 9,000 people. It's used for concerts, sports, and national events, all above water. It's like a stadium decided to become a boat. When you celebrate that thing, every step you take literally makes waves. Now that's a platform with power. Bao Shishun, the world's tallest man, used his freakishly long 1.06-meter arms to reach inside 2 dolphins and pull out plastic trash that vets couldn't remove. He literally saved their lives with his height. When you're that tall, even marine rescue turns into a superhero side quest. When Julius Caesar first saw giraffes, he thought they looked like a mashup of 2 animals, camels and leopards. So he called them camelopards. That name stuck for a while. Imagine discovering a creature so weird, your brain just makes up a combo word because it can't handle the design. British banking giant HSBC admitted to laundering billions of dollars for drug cartels. Colombian, Mexican, you name it. And guess what? No one went to jail. It was like real-life Breaking Bad meets corporate loopholes. Billions moved illegally. And the punishment? Basically, a shrug with a fine attached. You can't smell your own home because of a brain trick called olfactory adaptation. Your brain filters out familiar scents so it can detect new smells quickly, just in case something's burning or toxic. So, yeah, your house might smell weird. You're just too nose blind to know it. There's a company called Hoxton Street Monster Supplies that sells salt made from human tears. Real ones. Tears from sneezing, chopping onions, laughing, and anger. Bottled emotions. You're not seasoning food. You're sprinkling raw feelings onto your fries. It's creepy, salty, and a little poetic. If you're into weird gourmet food, Don Ritchie lived across from a cliff known as Australia's most popular suicide spot, the Gap. Over 50 years, he personally talked down around 160 people by simply inviting them over for tea. No uniform, no sirens, just human kindness and a kettle. Real-life guardian angel in a cardigan. Dobry Dobrev, a 101-year-old Bulgarian man, walked 25 kilometers every day, not for himself, but to beg money for orphanages. For 15 years straight, he dressed like a monk, lived like a saint, and gave away every coin. When charity walks, literally, it looks like Dobry. Steve Flagg, adopted at birth, searched for years for his biological mom. In 2007, he discovered they'd unknowingly worked at the same Lowe's store the entire time. Yep, they were co-workers. That awkward hello in the break room? Turns out it was family reunion material. A moment isn't just a vague slice of time. It's actually a real medieval unit. 1 moment equals 90 seconds. 40 moments make an hour. So next time someone says, just a moment, now you know they owe you exactly a minute and a half. Clock's ticking. The Queen of England has been on so much international money you could line up the coins and bills to watch her face age. It's like a slow-motion time-lapse in currency. No filters. Just one royal face printed across history, aging gracefully. $1 rupee and franc at a time. An oil sheikh from Abu Dhabi, Hamad bin Hamdan Al Nahyan, carved his name into the desert. Each letter is over 1,000 meters long. You can literally see it from space. Forget tagging walls. This guy graffitied Earth. When rich meets extra, the whole planet becomes your notebook. Istanbul has a vending machine that trades plastic bottles for pet food. You feed a stray dog or cat by recycling. It's like Earth gives you karma points every time you clean up. Forget coins. This machine takes trash and pays in wagging tails and purring gratitude. A parrot named Alex once looked in a mirror and asked what color he was. Scientists realized this bird wasn't just mimicking, he understood. He was the first animal to ever ask an existential question. That's not just smart, that's who am I smart. Feathered philosophers, rise. In January 1961, a U.S. bomber accidentally dropped 2 nuclear bombs on North Carolina. They didn't explode, but if they had, it would have been worse than Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. A broken plane almost rewrote history, and all because of a mid-air accident. That's nuclear near-miss nightmare fuel. Couples in love can literally sync their heartbeats just by staring into each other's eyes. No touching, no talking, just eye contact. Science calls it synchronization. Poets call it magic. Either way, when love gets real, your heart knows it, and it starts matching rhythm with someone else's. Exercise isn't just for muscles, it boosts brain power too. Studies show regular workouts make you happier, sharper, and more energized. It's like hitting a cheat code for your mood and focus. Want to feel like a genius with six-pack abs? Start with a walk. Your brain will do push-ups. In 2009, archaeologists found fossils of crocodiles that galloped. Not crawled. Galloped like horses. They lived with dinosaurs and sometimes ate them. Crocs that ran like racehorses and hunted like monsters. Jurassic Park didn't even warn us about this level of prehistoric nightmare fuel. About 50% of Asians struggle to metabolize alcohol because they're missing a key liver enzyme. That's why even a little drink can hit hard. It's not about tolerance, it's biology. So next time someone says they can't drink much, it's not a weakness. It's chemistry doing its thing. Big Ben is leaning. Yep, England's famous clock tower tilts 0.26 degrees northwest, about 1.6 feet off at the top. Why? The ground beneath it is drying out. So now it's a slightly crooked timekeeper, silently swaying with every tick of history. Pluto was named by an 11-year-old girl. Venetia Burney suggested the name to her grandpa, who passed it to an Oxford astronomer. That guy submitted it, and boom, it stuck. A kid gave a planet its name. Just imagine casually naming worlds before you hit puberty. Dolphins can recognize themselves in mirrors. A 2001 study showed they noticed changes in their reflections like lipstick marks. Before that, only humans and chimps passed the mirror test. Turns out dolphins aren't just smart, they're self-aware. Basically, they're the philosophers of the sea, minus the pipe and monocle. Researchers at the University of Montreal found that everyone can be a good singer. It's not about being born with it, it's practice. Like lifting weights, your vocal cords need training. So, next time someone says you can't sing, just tell them you're in vocal gym mode. Gains incoming. There's a real infrared device that scans your veins and projects them onto your skin. Nurses use it to find veins easily for injections. It's like X-ray vision for blood. You don't need to be Superman, you just need a little science and a glowing map on your arm. In Japan's Kaikyu Abaretsubo Marine Park, there are tiny holes in the otter exhibit so you can shake their paws. Yes, actual otter handshakes. They poke their little hands through and you get to hold them. It's like nature's cutest peace treaty, one fuzzy high five at a time. A group of pandas is officially called an embarrassment. No joke. Not a pack, not a squad, an embarrassment. No one knows why, but it kind of fits. They roll, flop, fall from trees, and still look adorable. Clumsy, cuddly, and chaotic? That's a panda party in a nutshell. In 1948, the Nobel Peace Prize wasn't awarded to anyone. Why? As a tribute to Mahatma Gandhi, who was assassinated earlier that year. They said no one else was worthy. Sometimes the biggest honor is leaving a space empty, to show the world who truly deserved it. B-A-E? That cute word you hear in love songs? In Denmark, it means poop. Yup. While one side of the world is texting good night, bae, Danes are low-key giggling. It's proof that language is weird, adorable, and occasionally gross, all at once. Talk about lost in translation. Identical twins have the same DNA, but their belly buttons? Totally different. That's because navels are scars, not genes. It depends on how the umbilical cord heals, so if you're ever stuck choosing between twin A or B, just check the belly button. It's nature's original name tag. Alan Gans has been slinging ice cream in Boston since 1947. He's got the world record for longest-serving ice cream man and knows 90% of his customers by name. Forget fame. This guy built a legacy one scoop at a time. Legendary with sprinkles. The Nasir al-Mulk Mosque in Iran looks like it swallowed a rainbow. When morning light hits its stained glass windows, the entire room turns into a kaleidoscope. Walls, floors, and air shimmer in color. It's not just architecture. It's a sunrise that explodes into art every single day. In 1995, NASA gave drugs to spiders, LSD, marijuana, caffeine, and more, to see how they'd spin webs. The results: the more toxic the drug, the messier the web. Caffeine turns spiders into web-wrecking zombies. Turns out even insects get chaotic when their brains go on a chemical roller coaster. Vyacheslav Molotov, a Soviet diplomat, might be the only man in history to shake hands with Lenin, Stalin, Hitler, Roosevelt, Churchill, and Himmler. That's like being on every final boss level of World War diplomacy. Also, yes, he inspired the term Molotov cocktail. Dude was a handshake away from history. The Wright brothers flew together just once in 1910. Their dad didn't want to lose both sons in a plane crash. He finally gave them permission for one shared flight. So, for that single moment, the two men who invented flight actually soared together. One ride, two legends. Psychopaths don't think like the rest of us. Research shows they focus only on the positive outcomes of their actions and ignore the consequences. Steal, cheat, hurt? As long as it benefits them, their brain skips the guilt. It's like their conscience got deleted from the emotional hard drive. When you stretch and yawn at the same time, you're panicking. That full body stretch paired with a big morning yawn? Yeah, it has a name, and it sounds like something only wizards do. It's your body's way of saying, let's boot up the system. Welcome to the science of chill. Tupac didn't just rap, he danced ballet. In high school, he played the Mouse King in the Nutcracker. Bandana off, tutu on. He twirled before he rhymed. Proof that real artists are fearless. And sometimes greatness starts with a pirouette before the mic drops. Babies are born without kneecaps. For real. They don't grow them until they're between 2 to 6 years old. Before that, it's all soft cartilage. So when babies crawl like clumsy robots, it's because their knees are still downloading the upgrade. Composer Arnold Schoenberg feared the number 13 so badly it haunted him his entire life. He even adjusted names and dates to avoid it. The final punch? He died at 13 minutes to midnight on Friday the 13th. His phobia didn't just chase him, it scheduled his final appointment. Sean Bean is so terrified of flying that during Lord of the Rings filming, he refused helicopters. Instead, he took a ski lift in full Boromir armor, then hiked up snowy mountains. While others flew, he walked like a medieval warrior. Talk about method acting meets mountain madness. There are fireworks made for daylight. Instead of bursting lights, they release colored smoke that dances through the sky in bright clouds. So even under the sun, the show goes on. They don't boom, they billow. Well, it's like watching dreams leak out of the sky in slow motion. That dark band between a double rainbow? It's real and named Alexander's Band, after the dude who spotted it back in 200 AD. It's not magic, it's science. Light bounces just right and makes a no-color zone. Basically, it's the rainbow's moody shadow. Even colors need space sometimes. The Chinese giant salamander is the world's largest amphibian. It can grow 6 feet long and weigh over 100 kilograms. That's basically a lizard the size of a grown man. Silent, slippery, and hiding in rivers. It looks like a Pokemon but swims like ancient royalty. Watermelon is 92% water. It's basically crunchy hydration. If your mouth is dry and the sun's melting your soul, just eat a slice. It's juicy, sweet, and low in calories. Nature's candy with a splash of electrolytes. Whoever invented watermelon deserves a statue made of melon. Even after a venomous snake is decapitated, it can still bite and kill. Its reflexes stick around for hours, so yeah, that headless cobra might still be packing deadly strikes. It's not undead, just leftover survival coding. In nature, danger doesn't always stop when the heartbeat does. Back in the 15 and 1600s, women accused of gossiping were forced to wear a torture device called a scold's bridle. Made of iron, it clamped the head and shoved a spiked bit into the mouth. It was medieval society's cruel way of saying, shut up. Literal mouth prison. When Abraham Lincoln died, his body was taken on a 2-week, 1,600-mile train tour for mourners to pay respect. His 11-year-old son's body was also with him, lying beside him. The train stopped at 400 stations. It wasn't just a funeral, it was a rolling farewell through history. In 2006, a woman from Michigan tried to sell a real human skeleton on eBay. You read that right, a mummified human body. eBay shut it down instantly. Apparently, the one rule of online shopping is no bones in the cart. Sorry, goth collectors, this isn't Amazon for skeletons. Dogs and cats can be allergic to you. Yep, human dander can make pets sneeze, itch, or react. We shed tiny skin cells all the time, and some pets just can't deal. So next time your cat acts dramatic, it might not be sass. It might be your hair and skin flakes. The mantis shrimp punches like a bullet, literally. It strikes 50 times faster than a blink. Its blow can shatter shells, glass, even break aquarium walls. Scientists call it nature's boxer. It's not just colorful, it's a rainbow ninja with fists that hit like tiny underwater explosions. Until 1987, surgeons believed infants didn't feel pain, so they performed surgeries without anesthesia. Awake. Just imagine the horror. It took way too long for medicine to catch up and say, hey, maybe babies feel stuff too. Science doesn't always start smart, but thankfully it learns. In 2012, a man sued Pepsi after claiming he found a mouse in his Mountain Dew. But Pepsi won. Why? Science proved that a real mouse would have dissolved completely in 30 days. And he bought the can 74 days after it was made. Mountain Dew. Melts rodents, apparently. George Pullman, the railroad tycoon, was so hated by his ex-employees that after he died, his family buried him at night under 2.4 meters of concrete, steel, and fear. They worried people might dig him up and desecrate his corpse. He built trains in life and bunkers in death. Elephants don't need bug spray. They crush mosquitoes using the folds in their thick skin. That's right. Tiny death traps built into wrinkles. While we slap at the air, they just flex a little. Nature gave them armor and mosquito-flattening traps because when you're elephant-sized, even bugs don't stand a chance. Dr. Sanduk Ruit from Nepal has restored eyesight to over 100,000 people across the developing world. One doctor, one mission. He pioneered a cheap surgery technique and literally gave sight to entire villages. He's not just a healer, he's a superhero with a scalpel and a heart of gold. Over a lifetime, the average person walks enough steps to circle the earth 5 times. That's over 200,000 kilometers on foot, just from daily strolls, errands, and life. So yeah, you've basically completed a global marathon in slow motion. Every step counts more than you think. A 2013 study found that Harry Potter fans are statistically more tolerant, inclusive, and less supportive of violence or torture. Magic aside, the books literally changed how people think. Turns out reading about fighting evil makes people a lot less likely to support the real-world dark arts. You can be criminally charged for making threats using only emojis. No words, just icons. A gun, a skull, some flames, and suddenly you're in court. The law now reads your emoji combos like poetry with handcuffs. So, yeah, be careful. Your smiley face might come with a felony. In Japan, if someone dies by suicide in their apartment or on train tracks, the family might be billed for the cleanup, delays, and bad PR. It's called Jishin Jiko, and it hits grieving families with massive fees. It's heartbreaking, and a chilling consequence few talk about. James Cameron was homeless when he wrote The Terminator. He sold the script for just $1, but only if he could direct it. The studio said yes, and the rest is film history, from sleeping in cars to creating icons. Sometimes the future really does come back to save you. And that was the final fact. If you made it this far, you're officially one of the unique ones. I hope every last fact made you say, "Wait, what?" Comment below with the fact that hit you the hardest. I read every single one. But don't go anywhere just yet. The next video? Yeah, it's loaded with facts even more shocking than this one. Click it, watch it, see you there.
Did you know there's a jellyfish that literally cheats death, and your favorite shiny lipstick might be made from fish scales? Wild, right? But before you start watching, drop a weird or mind-blowing fact you know in the comments. If it's not in this video, and let's be honest, we've probably missed a few gems, we might feature it in the next one. So go on, surprise us. Let's see if you can outfact the fact video.
So many questions. Why is the world spinning? Why is the moon keeping its orbit? Can rockets fly backwards? The facts you didn't know you needed. The useless show.
Mona Lisa doesn't just sit in a museum. She gets love letters and flowers too. Yup, she's got her very own mailbox. People from all over the world write to her like she's a living queen of mystery. That little smile? Apparently, it's enough to steal hearts for centuries. Once, a teenage boy made a flag for a school project. His teacher said, not original, and gave him a low grade. But guess what? That flag design became the actual American flag used today. That boy's B- became history's A+. Sometimes teachers don't see the magic you're hiding. A long time ago, a smart court official named Kai Lun decided to make something special. Paper, but he didn't have factories or machines. He used tree bark, old rags, fish nets, and even bits of wheat. He turned all that junk into something we still can't live without. Thank you, paper wizard. Imagine reading Harry Potter with your fingers. That's what blind kids do using Braille. The fourth book in the series is so huge in Braille, it takes 10 fat books to finish. And guess what? A Bible can be 45 books long and a dictionary? Over 70. That's a lot of bumps. Caterpillars look tiny and harmless, right? But did you know they have 12 eyes? Yep, 12! That's like putting 6 pairs of sunglasses on a single squiggly body. They don't see super well, though, so why so many eyes? Just one of nature's weird mysteries crawling through the leaves. People think only George Washington was on the $1 bill, but nope. His wife, Martha, once had her own version. That was back when the rules were a little looser, and America liked to mix things up. The First Lady had her face in wallets, too. Talk about power couple goals. In a jungle far away lives a bird with beauty and danger mixed together. The hooded pitohui from Papua New Guinea looks cool, but is secretly poisonous. Touching its feathers can make your skin numb. So yeah, this bird is basically nature's way of saying, I look cute, but don't mess. The car company Mazda wasn't just some fancy name someone made up. It was inspired by an ancient god named Ahura Mazda, the spirit of wisdom and harmony in old Persian times. So every time someone says Mazda, they're kind of whispering a prayer to drive smart and live balanced. Cool, right? Once in England, people went to bed on September 3rd and woke up on September 14th. Wait, what? Yeah, the government changed the calendar, and they just skipped 11 days like magic. People freaked out, so the king said, chill, you'll still get paid. And that's how paid leave was born. The famous philosopher Plato? That wasn't even his real name. His real name was Aristocles. People called him Plato because he had a wide, strong body, like a wrestler. So next time you hear a brainy quote, remember, It came from a buff dude who could probably bench press your bookshelf. Once, Libya had a flag so simple it looked like someone forgot to finish it. Just a green rectangle. No stars, no stripes, no animals, nothing. The leader wanted to show off his ideas from a book called The Green Book. Turns out sometimes the boldest messages are the plainest pictures. There's a tiny statue up on the moon. It's called The Fallen Astronaut, made by a Belgian artist. It's a tribute to all the space explorers who didn't make it back. Even on the moon, humans wanted to say, "We remember." Art doesn't need a museum. Sometimes it just needs silence. Feeling forgetful? Try yellow. That color is like a highlighter for your brain. It grabs your attention and makes memories stick better. That's why school buses and notepads love being yellow. It's like a color that shouts, "Remember me," to your sleepy little brain cells. Inside Air Force One, the president's plane, there's something wild. A full-blown doctor's office. There's a space ready to turn into an operating room, just in case something goes wrong mid-air. And yes, there's a doctor always on board. It's like a flying White House mixed with a hospital. Guess what? George Washington didn't wear a white wig. His hair was naturally red. Yeah, the first American president was a redhead. Kinda makes you look at those portraits a little differently, huh? Founding a country with a fiery crown of hair, that's some bold ginger energy right there. Climbing Mount Everest isn't a weekend thing. It takes weeks, 10 of them, just to reach the top. That's 2 whole months of freezing, sweating, gasping, and never giving up. But when you finally stand above the clouds, it's the closest thing on Earth to touching the sky. There's a woman who beat the lottery 4 times. Not once, not twice. 4 magical jackpot wins. Her name's Joan, and her luck is so wild scientists have actually studied her. People call her the luckiest woman alive. I mean, who gets to say, "Oh, I've won again. No big deal"? In Alabama, there's an actual law that says you can't drive with a blindfold on. Which raises the real question. Who tried this in the first place? Someone thought it was a fun idea until the police said, "Nope, not today." And that's how a law gets made. With one bad idea. Frane Salak from Croatia is like a real-life superhero of survival. He escaped a train crash, a plane crash, and a car crash. Oh, and he won the lottery. People say he's the luckiest man on Earth. Or maybe he's just the main character in the world's craziest movie. During a war, some scientists had ideas for new weapons, but a grumpy Navy officer named Commander Powder kept blocking them. So they named a fake unit of obstruction after him. It was their sneaky way of saying, "Thanks for making everything harder." History's full of these weird little rebellions. Ever notice some letters on a penny? They're not random. The letters F and G stand for Frank Gasparo, the guy who designed the back of the Lincoln penny. He left his initials like an artist signs a painting. Even pocket change has a secret signature if you know where to look. Your heart is wild. Even if it's taken out of the body, it can still beat for a little while. It doesn't need your brain to go thump thump. It just keeps doing its job like it's on autopilot. That's one tough little muscle dancing to its own rhythm. The Toyota logo is like a riddle. It looks like a simple shape, but inside it hides every letter of the word Toyota. Seriously, look closer next time. It's like the designers played hide and seek with the alphabet. That's not just branding. That's ninja-level creativity. In tough times, even nature gets cruel. If a mama alligator sees there's no water and no way to survive, she might eat her own babies. It sounds brutal, but in the wild, survival is the only rule. She does it with a heavy heart, but a wild heart nonetheless. In parts of India, people once got married to trees. Seriously. Some believed it could fix bad luck in astrology or even cure a cursed love life. The idea was, marry the tree first and then everything will be fine. Wild? Yes, but hearts and hope can make people do anything. Victor Hugo, the guy who wrote Les Miserables, once wrote a sentence so long it had over 800 words. That's like an entire page without a single period. Imagine reading that out loud and running out of breath halfway through. He didn't just write stories, he built mountains with words. The Bible ends on a tiny but powerful word. Amen. That one little word wraps up the most famous book in the world like a spiritual period at the end of a very long sentence. People all over the world whisper it to close their prayers. One word, big peace. There's a saint from long ago named Drogo who people pray to when they feel unattractive. Yup, Saint Drogo is like heaven's cheerleader for anyone feeling ugly. His story reminds people that beauty on the outside fades, but the strength inside, that's what makes you holy. In Africa, long before phones, people used drums to talk. Not just for fun, real messages. Those drum beats could carry words 100 miles in just an hour. It was like the jungle had its own invisible phone line made of rhythm. Boom, boom. Dinner's ready. Boom, boom. Danger's close. During a war, soldiers were trapped in prison camps. So a card company secretly made special decks of playing cards. But inside those cards, hidden maps. If you got them wet, the paper would peel open and show escape routes. It was a game of cards and survival. Bananas have their own family names. A bunch of bananas is called a hand, and each banana in it is called a finger. So when you grab a banana, you're basically holding fruit fingers. Weird, right? But also kind of adorable. Mother Nature's got a playful side. Before Mercury took over, thermometers were filled with brandy. That's right. Actual booze helped measure fevers. So if someone said you had a hot forehead, they might have checked it with a tiny shot glass of fruit wine. Doctors back then were wild mixologists of science.
If you're still watching after 32 facts, you clearly have taste. Hit that like button.
Some East African tribes had an insane way to stitch wounds. They'd get giant soldier ants to bite both sides of a cut and then snap off the bodies, leaving the jaws clamped shut like living stitches. It sounds scary, but in the wild, even bugs become doctors. The movie Psycho made film history by doing something people thought was too shocking: flushing a toilet. That was the first time a toilet flush ever made it into an American movie. It sounds silly today, but back then, it flushed away old rules and flushed in a new era. The person who invented the fire hydrant never got credit because the patent documents burned up in a fire. Yep. The one invention made to stop fires lost its birth certificate to the thing it was created to fight. Irony has a dark sense of humor. Huge earthquakes are strong enough to mess with Earth's spin. That means one wild shake under the ground can make the whole planet twirl just a little faster. It's like the world suddenly decided to dance faster because it felt a tremor in its bones. There's a rose in Germany that's been alive for more than 1,000 years. It's so big it climbs walls and spreads wide like a floral dragon. Some say it was planted by a king. This isn't your grandma's garden. It's nature's way of showing off with petals. When flamingos party, they don't hang in groups. They roll in flamboyance. That's the actual name. A flamboyance of flamingos. With those pink feathers and silly walks, the name totally fits. It's like they're born ready for the catwalk. Or should we say flamingo walk? Sea otters are cuddle pros. When they sleep, they float in the water and hold paws so they don't drift apart. It's like nature's version of holding hands during a nap. Soft, sleepy, and ridiculously sweet. They're basically the teddy bears of the ocean. Gentoo penguins don't bring flowers or chocolates to their love. They bring pebbles. If the girl penguin likes the pebble, she keeps it. And him. That's their proposal. So next time you step on a rock, think of a penguin saying, "Will you be mine?" Back in the 1500s, a woman started dancing in the streets and just couldn't stop. Then others joined. Dozens of people danced like they were cursed. No music, no break, just spinning feet and sweaty madness. Some even danced themselves to death. It became known as the dancing plague. A cat's nose is like a fingerprint. No two are the same. If cats ruled the world, they'd stamp things with their nose instead of a signature. This tuna can is mine. Boop! It's nature's way of giving cats their own secret identity. When porcupines hang out together, the group is called a prickle. Isn't that perfect? A prickle of porcupines. Like someone took cute and dangerous and gave it a fun name. Just don't try to pet one. Those quills mean business. Almost everything you see in the sky, the planets, moons, and asteroids, are nothing compared to the sun. The sun is the boss. It holds more than 99 out of every 100 parts of all the stuff in our solar system. It's basically the heavyweight champion of space. In just 1 hour, the sun gives Earth more energy than the whole planet uses in a year. That giant fireball is pouring down light and power every second. If we could catch even a little of it, we'd never need batteries again. In space, metal is clingy. If two pieces of the same metal touch out there, they fuse together like best friends who never let go. There's no oxygen or moisture to stop them. So, yeah, space welding is a real thing, even without a flame. Imagine something so dense that one sugar cube of it would weigh more than all the trucks in your town. That's what a neutron star is made of. Just a tiny piece of it could crush anything on Earth. It's like the universe's way of flexing its muscles. Now, picture a full soup can of that same neutron star stuff. That one can weigh more than the moon. Yup, the entire moon. It's like scooping up a whole galaxy's worth of heavy in one tiny can. Not for your kitchen shelf, that's for sure. Before battle, ancient Chinese warriors had a wild flex move. They juggled. Not weapons, but actual juggling. It was their way of saying, I'm so calm I can toss stuff around before war. Nothing says intimidation like juggling in the face of danger. You know that word OMG everyone texts these days? It got added to dictionaries only recently. But guess what? The first time someone wrote OMG was way back during a world war. People thought it was brand new, but turns out even history knew how to scream online. In Arizona, there's an actual law that says donkeys can't sleep in bathtubs. Yep, someone's long-eared friend probably took a nap and caused chaos. Now the state says donkeys in barns, not bubbles. Just imagine a sheriff walking in saying, "Sir, get your donkey out of the tub." Israeli stamps don't just stick, they follow tradition. The glue they use is certified kosher. That means even if you accidentally licked it, you're still good by Jewish dietary laws. It's like religion and postage giving each other a respectful nod. Who knew stamps had spiritual standards? Ever tickled a rat? They laugh. Seriously. Rats and mice giggle when tickled, just like us. You can't hear it without special equipment, but they're squeaking out little joy bursts. Science discovered that even tiny furballs with twitchy noses have tickle zones. Cute and squeaky. Nature wins again. Norway once gave a penguin a real knight title. Not a joke. The bird got a ceremony, a sash, and even a tiny medal. The penguin's name is Sir Niels Olav, and he lives in a zoo like a waddling feathered royal. Somewhere, a duck is probably jealous. Out of all the kings in a deck of cards, the King of Hearts is the only one without a mustache. Maybe he liked the clean look, or maybe he just wanted to be different. Either way, he's the smoothest looking royal in the whole card crew. In North Carolina, if you sing badly, like really badly, you're technically breaking the law. It's illegal to sing off-key in public. Imagine someone pulling you over for a broken tune. Ma'am, your notes were way out of line. So if you're tone deaf, maybe hum quietly in Carolina. Here's something neat about the word 40. It's the only number where all the letters are in alphabetical order. Not 41, not 14. Just 40. Makes you wonder if the alphabet itself lined up just to give one number a perfect score in spelling class. Now, flip it. The number 1 is the only number where all the letters go in reverse alphabetical order. Like, the alphabet is marching backward just to spell a single word. It's a sneaky little linguistic fact hiding in plain sight on your math test. Strawberries are the popular kids of the plant world. They grow in every single American state and every part of Canada too. From desert heat to chilly hills, these red sweethearts pop up everywhere. So wherever you are, strawberries are probably nearby, just waiting to be picked. If someone calls you a peach, that's not just sweet talk. Back in the day, people gave actual peaches to folks they loved. It was like handing someone a juicy hug. So, "You're a peach" really means you're my favorite fruit-shaped piece of sunshine. Smooth, right? Way down south near the bottom of the globe, there's a special spot. If you sail at the 60th southern line of the planet, you can go all the way around the Earth and never touch land. Just open sea, endless waves, and ocean wind whispering, "Keep going." There's a highway that stretches all the way from the corner of Seattle to the heart of Boston, on what's called Interstate 90, and it's the longest road in America. Coast to coast, it's one giant asphalt adventure. Roll down the windows. You're driving across a continent. In Texas, there's an airport so big it beats an island. Dallas-Fort Worth Airport is larger than Manhattan. That's right. Planes there travel longer than some people's city commutes. If you get lost inside, you're not at the airport. You're practically on a cross-country flight. Benjamin Franklin didn't just fly kites, he made flippers. The guy was a genius who invented swim fins for his hands so he could move through water like a fish. Basically, he was trying to become Aquaman before comic books existed. Founding father by land, sea creature by pool. One time in Vegas, a hospital had to fire staff because they were betting on when patients would die. Yup, actual nurses and workers were placing bets. It got so dark that one nurse was accused of cheating by killing. Not every gamble in Vegas stays classy. Indonesia isn't one island. It's a jaw-dropping collection of more than 17,000. Imagine jumping from one to another every day. You'd need years to visit them all. It's a country that's part ocean, part land, and completely massive. Mother Nature went all out on this one. You and a giraffe have something in common. Both of you have 7 bones in your neck. Even with their skyscraper-long necks, the number of bones is the same. The difference? Each giraffe bone is like a bone on stilts. Same blueprint, extra height. Neck goals unlocked. When you think fast food, you might picture golden arches, but guess what? Subway has more restaurants than any other chain. More sandwiches, more bread, more What do you want on it? It's like the world runs on subs instead of burgers, fresh, fast, and quietly everywhere. If you took every atom of Earth and squished out the space between them, the entire planet would shrink down to the size of a baseball. That's how empty most matter is. We're not solid. We're space in disguise. Makes you wonder what else is puffed up. China decided to make solar farms shaped like pandas. Yep, giant, smiling pandas made of solar panels. Why? To get kids and young people more excited about clean energy. So now, from space, Earth looks like it's powered by adorable, eco-friendly bears. That's how you market the future. Ever seen a stoat hunt? It doesn't sneak or pounce. It dances like it's in a wildlife rave. It jumps, spins, and flips until the rabbit just stares, confused. Then, bam! Dinner time. It's like magic mixed with mischief. Nature's sneakiest trickster wears a fur coat and dances. Losing teeth isn't just exciting, it's profitable. In America, kids get cash from the tooth fairy. On average, they collect more than $3 per tooth. That means your mouth is basically a treasure chest with baby teeth as currency. Smile wide, it's payday. Want to order your words like a grammar wizard? There's a secret rule to putting adjectives in the right order. It goes like this: amount, value, size, temperature, age, shape, color, origin, material. So it's 3 small old brown wooden tables, not wooden brown old small 3. Grammar magic. Grover Cleveland wasn't just one U.S. president. He was 2. He got elected, lost, and then came back again, like the comeback king of politics. So when they counted presidents, he became both the 22nd and the 24th. Talk about taking the "I'll be back" quote seriously. Ever wondered why so many countries end with "stan"? It's not just a coincidence. That little ending means place of or land in Persian. So Afghanistan is the land of Afghans. Pakistan? Place of the pure. It's like naming countries with a poetic mic drop. The Atacama Desert is so dry some spots have never seen rain. Not once. It's not a desert. It's a planet's dry whisper. If Earth had a no water allowed zone, this would be it. Even cactuses look around and say, "Yep, nope, not living here." One day, the Supreme Court of the United States had to decide, is a tomato a fruit or a vegetable? And boom, they declared it a vegetable. Why? Because of how it's used in cooking. So legally, in the eyes of the highest court, ketchup's a veggie sauce. The wrestling world once got into a name fight between animals and athletes. The World Wrestling Federation had to change its name because the World Wildlife Fund already claimed the initials WWF. The wrestlers backed down, became WWE, and pandas kept the acronym belt. The wild and dreamy lyrics in "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds"? John Lennon said they weren't about outer space or magic mushrooms. They were inspired by the trippy stories of Lewis Carroll, the guy who wrote Alice in Wonderland. Turns out imagination was the only drug needed. The Caribbean has over 7,000 islands, but only a tiny percent have people living on them. Most are just floating paradise dots on the map, totally untouched. Somewhere out there, a beach exists that's never had a footprint. That's nature's version of "do not disturb." When a baby shows up, parents get sleepless. Not just tired, robbed. In the first year alone, a baby can steal up to 700 hours of sleep from mom and dad. That's like staying awake for a whole month straight just so someone else can cry and poop. Titan is a moon orbiting Saturn, but it acts more like a planet. It's got its own atmosphere, thick and mysterious. In fact, it's almost twice as dense as Earth's air. If you ever visit, don't expect a spacesuit selfie. You'll be wrapped in orange fog and alien clouds. Cruise control in cars was invented by a blind man. No joke. Ralph Teeter lost his sight as a kid, but still became an engineer. He got annoyed with his driver's jerky speed, so he created cruise control. That's how a blind genius gave us smooth highway vibes. British tanks have had something special since World War II. Tea kettles inside. Yes, tea. They weren't just ready for battle, they were always ready for a brew. Even in war, Brits refused to fight without their cup of comfort. Soldiers with armor and Earl Grey? Respect. Here's a geography trick. Reno, Nevada is actually west of Los Angeles, California. Sounds impossible, right? But check a map. That little city snuck past a coastline giant. It's like geography played a prank and said, let's confuse everyone for fun. Back in the roaring 20s, Babe Ruth smacked so many home runs, he hit more than almost every team combined. One man, one bat, wrecking records while chewing gum and swaggering. He wasn't just playing baseball, he was rewriting how the game is played. You really can see Russia from Alaska. On a clear day, two tiny islands, one American, one Russian, stare at each other across the sea. They're so close you could wave to someone in another country. Cold, quiet, and a reminder that the world is smaller than we think. Lipstick can sparkle for a reason. Fish scales. Yep, many lipsticks use a shimmer made from crushed scales. It's called pearl essence, but it's really fish glam. So next time your lips shine in selfies, thank the ocean for the sparkle. Airport codes used to be just 2 letters. But then the world needed more, so they added an X to older ones. That's why Los Angeles is LAX. The X doesn't mean anything, it's just a placeholder, from a time when planes were fewer and simpler. Way up in Venezuela, there's a waterfall so tall, the water seems to fall forever. It's called Angel Falls, and it's the tallest uninterrupted waterfall on Earth. Watching it is like seeing the sky cry in slow motion. Water ballet from mountaintops. Prairie dogs greet each other with a kiss. Not barking, not wagging tails. Actual kisses. They press their mouths together as if to say, "Hey, what's up, bro?" It's like a rodent romantic comedy happening underground. Who knew these squeaky diggers had such sweet manners?
Comment pineapple if you're still here. Let's confuse the entire comment section.
John D. Rockefeller had a fortune so massive, no billionaire today even comes close. When adjusted for inflation, he had over $300 billion. That's like owning half the world's banks and still having enough left to tip in gold coins. The longest tennis match in history lasted over 11 hours across 3 different days. 2 players just wouldn't give up. They smashed aces, chased balls, and kept going until their legs begged for mercy. It was called the endless match, and they earned every second. During the war, people were asked to save bacon grease. Why? Because the fat could be turned into glycerin, a key ingredient in explosives. Your breakfast leftovers helped build bombs. War doesn't waste anything, not even the drippings. Flamingos can't eat right side up. They have to flip their heads upside down to chow down. It's like their throat works in reverse. Imagine having to do a headstand every time you ate cereal. Flamingos pull it off with grace. You'd spill everything. A group of cows isn't just a herd. It's called a flink when there are 12 or more. Sounds like a word made by someone trying not to sneeze. Look at that flink of cows. Still, it's official. The language gods say so. Goats like to roll deep in squads called trips. A trip of goats isn't what happens when you stumble. It's what happens when cuteness travels in numbers. They bleat, hop, and bounce in packs like furry acrobats on a mountain adventure. An alligator goes through thousands of teeth in its life. Thousands. They keep growing new ones like candy in a dispenser. Snap, break, grow, repeat. It's like their mouth is a never-ending weapons factory. Don't mess with a smile that keeps reloading. Right now, on Earth, there are more chickens than people. They're everywhere, clucking in farms, parks, backyards. One massive, feathery majority quietly ruling the planet. We just don't talk about it, but deep down, this is a chicken's world, and we're just living in it. Penguins may waddle like goofballs, but they've got bounce. These tiny tuxedo birds can jump as high as a grown person. That's right, 6 feet of straight-up flipper power. So next time you see one shuffling along, remember, that bird's got hops. Once upon a time, for a split second, you were the absolute youngest human on Earth. Out of everyone alive, you were the newest heartbeat. Just born. Fresh as a sunrise. That's your badge of cosmic arrival. Everyone gets that title once. And only once. Eagles are serious fashion shows in the sky. These birds carry around 7,000 feathers. That's like wearing a full-blown fur coat, a cape, and a scarf at the same time. Each feather works like an airfoil, helping them glide like sky bosses. Most lizards stay silent, but not geckos. Geckos talk. They squeak, click, and chirp like nature's tiny radio stations. They're the only lizards that can voice their opinions, like little reptile DJs announcing, "This tree's taken," or, "Hey cutie, check my scales." Rhino horns aren't bone, they're hair. Super squished hair like nature made a weapon from your head fuzz. It's so packed, it turns into a sword on their nose. Forget metal. Rhinos roll into battle with keratin-powered helmets. Dolphins nap like spies. Half their brain sleeps, half stays awake, and one eye, always open. It's how they avoid danger and still get rest. They're basically underwater ninjas. Napping with radar mode still switched on. A duck has 3 eyelids, not 1. Not 2. 3. One's for blinking, one's for sleeping, and the third is like a swimming goggle sliding sideways over the eye. Ducks don't just waddle, they've got eye gear that belongs in a sci-fi movie. Want to know how far the edge of the Earth looks? There's an actual math trick for it. Yup, you can calculate how far the horizon is based on how tall you are. It's Earth geometry, baby. Curves, angles, and wonder, all from standing still and staring. A hippo can chill underwater for 5 whole minutes. That's long enough to miss a full cartoon episode. They just sink down, close their ears and nostrils, and hold their breath like giant grumpy submarines. Splash level? Pro. Most elephants are heavy. Like, super heavy. But you know what's even heavier? The tongue of a blue whale. That giant fish tongue weighs more than an entire elephant. Imagine speaking with something that big flopping in your mouth. Blue whales don't talk. They flex. If a sheep and a goat fall in love and have a baby, their kid is called a geep. Part goat, part sheep. All adorable confusion. It's like nature clicked random on its animal generator and said, let's get weird. Pistol shrimp are tiny but pack heat. They snap their claw so fast it makes a bubble explosion that can shatter glass. That sound? Louder than a gunshot. All from a shrimp. Nature made a little creature and gave it the world's tiniest cannon. One day in Tanzania, a few schoolgirls started laughing. Then more kids joined. Then the whole school. Then other villages. People couldn't stop laughing for months. Some cried, some fainted. It was called the Tanganyika laughter epidemic. It spread like joy on fire. Koalas rarely drink water. They get most of their hydration from eucalyptus leaves. Only during heat waves or droughts do they actually sip water. These fuzzy tree huggers are basically the Zen masters of staying hydrated. Bees come out fully grown. No awkward teen phase, no zits. Just boom. Buzzing around like nature's tiny pilots from day one. They don't crawl before they fly. They're born ready to get to work. Ferrets got their name from Latin, and it means little thief. Why? Because they steal stuff and hide it. Socks, keys, shiny things. They swipe like furry burglars with zero guilt. You're missing earbud? Probably in a ferret's hideout. Cats have 2 different sets of vocal cords. One is for meows and yowls, the other for purring. They're like tiny opera singers with dual instruments inside. Purr mode, chill. Meow mode, feed me now or face the consequences. Some bears don't just hibernate. They climb up trees and build nests just to chill and sunbathe. Big, scary bears. Sunbathing. They lay back like forest kings on leafy hammocks saying, yeah, this is the life. A bunch of jellyfish isn't called a group, it's a smack. Yup, a smack of jellyfish. Sounds like something you don't want to bump into in the ocean. But in jelly world, that's just how they roll. Bouncy and gelatinous. More than half the people alive today have never made or received a phone call. That's wild, right? Texts, swipes, and voice notes have taken over. Phones used to be for talking. Now they're tiny computers we panic over when we lose. Your jaw isn't just for eating chips, it's got power. The human jaw can crush down with the same force as 200 pounds pressing on your molars. That's like a gorilla-level bite, hidden inside your face. When Siwon Chen was learning English, she realized the only way to finish her homework was to go full throttle. Double the work. Double the effort. Her trick? Natural talent and pure hustle. That's how she turned English into her personal playground. Deep inside the number P, way out at the 762nd spot, you'll find 6 nines in a row. Math geeks call it the Feynman point. It's like finding a cheat code hidden inside the longest number on Earth. In theory, a single chess match could stretch to almost 6,000 moves. Imagine sitting at a board so long your hair turns gray between turns. Every piece, every square, just one slow, strategic dance of mental combat. One game. A lifetime of thinking. There was a time in Zimbabwe when money got so out of control they had bills worth trillions. You could be a trillionaire and still not afford bread. Imagine paying for snacks with a suitcase full of zeros. That wasn't wealth, it was wallet madness on turbo mode. Brazil isn't just named randomly, it's actually named after a tree. Brazilwood. Most countries are named after tribes or directions, but Brazil went full nature mode. That's like calling a country Oaklandia or Maple Nation. Green vibes all the way. Back in the 1600s, tulips were the Bitcoin of Holland. One rare flower cost more than an entire house. People sold land, savings, and sanity just to own one. When the bubble popped, so did bank accounts. It was the wildest flower flex in history. There was a Roman emperor so obsessed with his horse, he tried to make it a politician. Yup, Emperor Caligula wanted his favorite horse, Incitatus, to be a consul. Fancy title, office perks, maybe even a toga. That's loyalty. Or total madness, maybe both. At a university in Canada, a fire hydrant ran for election. Not metaphorically, literally. Students put it on the ballot. And guess what? It almost won. That bright red hero nearly joined the Board of Governors. Politics has never been so hydrated. In 2007, a senator from Nebraska sued God. Yup, took him to court. The reason? Natural disasters. It was mostly to make a point about lawsuits being out of control. But still, imagine typing defendant God on legal paperwork. Adolf Hitler didn't drink. He was a teetotaler, which means no alcohol ever. One of the most dangerous humans in history lived on juice, not booze. Just proves that darkness isn't about the drink, it's about the decisions. Your body makes alcohol. All the time. Yup, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Tiny amounts, naturally brewed in your gut. You're a walking microbrewery, just don't try bottling it. It's not exactly party material. Wherever a horse's ear is pointing, that's where it's looking. If both ears point in different directions, it's looking at two things at once. They've got built-in radar dishes on their heads. Those twitchy ears aren't just cute, they're high-tech attention scanners. Astronaut helmet visors have gold in them, real gold. Not for style, but protection. That precious metal helps block dangerous space rays. So yeah, astronauts basically wear golden sunglasses while floating above Earth. Bling with a purpose. Once British soldiers marched across a bridge and caused it to collapse. Not from weight, but rhythm. Their steps matched so perfectly it created vibrations that shook the bridge apart. Since then, soldiers have been ordered to break step on bridges. Rhythm can be dangerous. The pig war started over a pig. One day, a pig wandered into a guy's garden and ate his potatoes. The guy shot it. Boom! International drama. Countries nearly went to war. All because one pig got too hungry. Bacon never caused so much tension. Statistically, champagne corks kill more people than poisonous spiders. So at a fancy party, you're safer next to a tarantula than a bottle of bubbly. Pop it carefully. Those corks launch like party missiles. Crocodiles can't stick out their tongues, not even a little. Their tongue is glued down to the bottom of their mouth. So all those scary chomps? Silent. No tongue action, just pure crunch. They're the silent killers of the swamp. Want your rubber bands to last longer? Put them in the fridge. Cold slows down their breakdown. So next time someone opens your fridge and finds a bag of rubber bands, tell them it's science. You're just freezing the stretch. Women blink more than men, almost twice as much. Scientists think it's linked to dryness, hormones, and even eye shape. Either way, it means the world sparkles just a little more when ladies look around. No, ostriches do not bury their heads in sand. That's a myth. When scared, they lower their heads to blend in with the ground. But bury it? Nope. No bird is that dumb. Ostriches are smart and seriously fast. Only female mosquitoes bite. The males sip plant juice and chill. But the girls, they need blood to make eggs. So next time you get a bite, don't blame all mosquitoes. Blame the hard-working mom trying to raise babies. Scotland has more redheads than any place on Earth. It's like red hair central. Pale skin, freckles, fire-colored heads. It's their national glow. If you want to meet real-life Weasleys, just hop a flight to the Highlands. Household dust is mostly made of dead skin. Yep, that stuff floating in the sunlight? You. Your skin flakes off all the time and turns into indoor snow. You basically shed like a human snake. Quietly. Constantly. The past tense of dare is durst. Like, I durst not challenge the dragon. It sounds like medieval magic. We never use it anymore, but it's still there. Hidden in the grammar castle like an old sword waiting to be picked up. Wind doesn't make sound. Not by itself. It only makes noise when it hits something. Trees, buildings, your face. Until then, it's just silent air on the move. So when you hear it howl, you're actually hearing what it touches. The ancient Egyptians invented the first chair. 4 legs, a back, something to sit on. They were the original have-a-seat inventors. And the oldest ones? Found buried in tombs from over 4,000 years ago. Even kings needed to rest their royal butts. India has more post offices than anywhere on Earth. Over 100,000. That's like a letter-loving army ready to deliver your words across mountains, rivers, deserts, and cities. The country runs on chai and postage. India also has over 200 million cows. They walk freely, chill in traffic, and are treated like royalty in some places. It's not just a country, it's cowland, where 4-legged citizens roam with full respect. The Taj Mahal isn't painted or tiled. It's carved completely out of white marble. Imagine a palace made of stone so smooth it shines in the moonlight. No paint, no tricks. Just rock, love, and a ton of perfect craftsmanship standing proud in the heart of India. Back in ancient Greece, actors needed help with timing. So a scholar named Aristophanes invented early punctuation marks to tell them when to pause. He even added pronunciation hints. He wasn't just shaping words, he was laying the foundation for every period, comma, and exclamation mark we use today. In one West African tribe, football isn't played with a ball, it's played with a skull. The Matami people pass around a real skull instead of leather. It's not just a game. It's a tradition of strength, respect, and maybe a bit of spooky fun. Couples argue about many things, but the one topic that gets them the most heated? Money. Bills, budgets, spending. It's the spark that lights up fights. Not because they're greedy, but because finances poke right at trust, security, and dreams. Macadamia nuts may be a sweet treat for humans, but for dogs, they're poisonous. A few bites and your pup could get really sick. So while you crunch on that cookie, make sure your furry friend sticks to biscuits made for barking, not snacking. Ever seen that mountain in the Paramount movie logo? Look closer. There are exactly 22 stars circling it. Each one represents a founding actor from the early studio days. It's like a secret Hollywood halo hiding in plain sight. Every time you drink water, you're sipping the past. Almost every glass has molecules that once passed through a dinosaur. That's right, you might be sharing a sip with a T-Rex. The planet recycles water like a pro. Nothing's ever truly new. A flea can jump over 300 times its body length. If you could do that, you'd be leaping over skyscrapers. They're like six-legged superheroes in the bug world. Tiny, itchy, and impossibly springy. When the moon is full, it's not just rounder, it's brighter. A full moon shines about 9 times brighter than a half moon. That's why everything looks magical on those nights. The sky turns up the volume. Honeybees can zoom through the air at speeds of 24 kilometers an hour. That's faster than most kids on bikes. So the next time a bee zooms by your ear, know this, it's not lost. It's late for a meeting. A hummingbird flaps its wings so fast your eyes can't even track it. Try 90 flaps a second. That's over 5,000 in 1 minute. It's like watching nature turn into a blur, powered by sugar water and sheer determination. When a fly takes off, it never launches straight up. It always jumps backward. It's their emergency exit trick. They're hard to swat because they basically moonwalk into flight. That's right, flies have mastered the art of the backup plan. You'll produce enough spit in your life to fill not 1 but 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Gross? Kind of. Impressive? Absolutely. Your mouth is a non-stop waterfall of life juice. You're basically a walking fountain. Cheetahs are speed monsters. At full sprint, they hit speeds faster than a car on a city road. Their bodies are built like living arrows. Blink, and they're gone. Nature's drag racers wear spots instead of helmets. Horses can sleep standing up. Their legs have special locks that let them snooze without tipping over. It's how they stay ready to run, even while dreaming. Talk about power napping with posture. Tolstoy, the guy who wrote massive books like War and Peace, kept a daily journal tracking every minute of his time. He listed goals, failures, even how to play cards properly. He didn't just write books, he wrote the manual for living like a serious legend. Black text on a yellow background grabs your eyes harder than any color combo. That's why school buses, street signs, and warning labels use it. Your brain reacts fast, almost like an alarm. When something's black on yellow, it doesn't whisper, it shouts. It's the highlighter of the visual world. Tea bags weren't always planned. In 1908, a tea merchant sent out samples in little silk bags. People dunked them straight into hot water, thinking it was the correct way. It worked so well, nobody stopped. A simple accident turned into a global habit with billions of bags brewed daily. Rain isn't just sky water. It sometimes carries nutrients, including vitamin B12. That's because rain collects bits of bacteria and organic compounds as it falls. So the next time you're dancing in the rain, you're not just getting wet. You might be getting a tiny splash of bonus nutrition too.
Still awake? Type useless genius below so we know who the real ones are.
Your liver isn't just for detoxing. It's a biological multi-tool. It performs more than 500 different functions. Filtering blood, storing energy, producing bile, breaking down toxins, and helping digest fats. This quiet organ works non-stop behind the scenes, keeping your body in balance without ever asking for credit or applause. Your brain is a greedy oxygen hog. It uses about 1/4 of every breath you take. Even though it's small compared to your whole body, it demands priority fuel. That's why deep breathing boosts focus and why holding your breath can make you dizzy. Oxygen feeds thought like fire feeds light. After Hawaii, the U.S. state surrounded by the most water is New York. Between oceans, rivers, lakes, and bays, it's practically an island with skyscrapers. From the Hudson River to the Atlantic coast, water defines its geography and its skyline, its bridges, and even the mood of its foggy mornings. Most ice skating rinks go counterclockwise. Why? Because most people are right-handed, and turning left feels more natural for them. That small habit became tradition. So when you glide on the ice and everyone's spinning left, you're not just skating. You're following a rhythm that goes back generations of wobbling ankles. Cucumbers are water in disguise. They're made of over 90% water, which is why they're so refreshing in salads. You're not just chewing, you're hydrating. It's like biting into a crunchy drink. Nature's green water bottle packed in a garden-friendly wrapper. In England, every swan swimming in open waters officially belongs to the king or queen. It's a royal tradition going back centuries. These elegant birds glide freely, but technically, they're royal property. So next time you see a swan, imagine it with a tiny crown and royal approval stamped on it. King Henry VIII didn't sleep lightly. He kept a giant axe by his bed. That wasn't decoration. It was paranoia. While most people snuggle with pillows, he trusted cold steel. Rulers had enemies, and he had sharp bedtime security. Call it royal protection. Medieval edition. The doorknob we twist every day was first documented in the late 1800s. An African-American inventor named Osborne Dorsey submitted a patent for improvements in door-closing devices. That little invention became a daily necessity. Without it, opening doors would still be a rough push-and-shove struggle. Dino Zoff, Italy's legendary goalkeeper, once went more than 1,000 minutes in international football without conceding a single goal. That's over 11 straight games. Nobody could score. He turned defending into silent art. Brick wall? More like fortress? When Zoff guarded the net, it felt like time stopped. The ancient Greek coin called the drachma came from the word to grasp. It was originally worth a handful of arrows. Before gold bars and plastic cards, money was something you could carry in your fist, because war, survival, and trade were measured in the weight of what you held. The Vatican Bank is the only bank in the world where the ATM lets you perform transactions in Latin. Yes, the ancient language lives on inside a cash machine. Instead of withdraw, you might see exhibe pecuniam. Holy banking meets history. Swipe your card and pray for change, literally. Long before party clowns, the Aztecs made the first animal balloons. Not from rubber, but from cleaned, twisted intestines of animals like cats. They inflated these as offerings to the gods. It was part ceremony, part sacrifice, and strangely creative. History's weirdest balloon art started with guts and devotion. Morris dancing looks silly today, bells, hops, and sticks. But it originally symbolized fertility, life, death, and rebirth. Every stomp and twirl told a story. It wasn't just entertainment, it was a ritual dressed in rhythm. Dance wasn't just movement, it was a coded message to the gods and the earth. 9-banded armadillos nearly always give birth to 4 babies. Clones, not twins, not triplets. Always 4 identical copies. That's nature going full photocopy mode. These armored critters multiply in 4s like clockwork. So when you see one armadillo, chances are 3 more identical siblings are rolling around somewhere nearby. Zebrafish can regrow their hearts. Scientists study them because when they're injured, they heal fast like superhero fish. Cut the heart, and it regenerates. If humans could learn that trick, we could cure heart failure. This tiny striped fish holds secrets that might save millions. It's medicine hidden behind gills. Legend says Buddha's last meal caused his death. Some believe it was spoiled pork, others say poisonous mushrooms. Either way, a blacksmith offered the meal and the spiritual leader accepted it humbly. Even enlightened ones can fall to bad food. Enlightenment doesn't protect against food poisoning. Jim Pike, a legendary darts player, could shoot a cigarette out of someone's mouth with pinpoint accuracy. He didn't miss. His aim was so sharp, people treated darts like live ammunition. No lasers, no scopes. Just arm, eye, and nerves of absolute steel. There's a fear of ostriches, and it has a name. Strauthocameliphobia. Hard to say, harder to live with. These giant, fast birds might look goofy, but for some people they trigger panic. Big eyes, fast legs, feathered fear running straight toward you. Sounds like a nightmare in slow motion. The lawnmower was invented in the early 1800s by a man working in a textile mill. At first, people laughed. Grass-cutting machines? Madness. He tested it at night so no one could mock him. That madman changed backyards forever. Now every buzz on Sunday owes him thanks. 3 U.S. presidents have won the Nobel Peace Prize, not for politics, but for promoting peace across nations. From negotiating conflicts to building global friendships, they used leadership to inspire calm in chaos. Proof that even the most powerful voices can choose to lead not with fists, but with open hands. Arnold C is a programming language built entirely around Arnold Schwarzenegger movie quotes. Want to start a program? You write, "It's showtime." Want to return something? You write, "I'll be back." It's code with muscles, powered by one-liners. The world's only programming language that can pump iron and logic simultaneously. There's a town in Michigan called Hell, and you can be mayor of it, just for a day. Pay a small fee, sign a form, and boom, you're in charge of hell. It's cheeky, fun, and 100% real. Who says leadership isn't for everyone, even in fire and brimstone? For 4 decades, the Olympics gave medals in painting, sculpture, architecture, literature, and music, alongside sports. You could win gold for a poem about running. From the early 1900s to the 50s, art stood equal to athletics. Imagine being crowned Olympic champion for painting a javelin thrower. The chinchilla has the thickest fur of any land animal. About 50 hairs grow from one follicle. Touch one, and you'll barely feel the skin. They're walking fluff clouds. Their dense coats protect them from cold, but also mean daily dust baths, not water. Too much water could drown the fluff. John Holtum was a strongman who caught live cannonballs with his chest on stage. Not a joke. Real cannon, real chest, no armor. Audiences gasped. His act was equal parts circus and insanity. One wrong angle? Disaster. But he made jaws drop, and his name explode through history books. Messenger pigeons were the original airmail. Used thousands of years ago, they delivered messages, and even announced winners of ancient Olympic Games. Before phones, email, or Wi-Fi, these birds carried secrets, victories, and love letters across kingdoms. They flew straight, fast, and loyal. Nature's flying text messages. Carrots have 0 fat. Zip, nada. They're just orange sticks of water, crunch, and vitamins. That's why they're everyone's guilt-free snack. You can munch endlessly, feel healthy, and never worry. It's like eating color without calories. Your jaw gets a workout, but your waistline stays chill. 1 billion snails get served in restaurants every year. 1 billion. Wrapped in garlic, butter, and fancy silverware, they go from garden guests to gourmet dishes. Some say delicious, others say disgusting. Either way, it's a global delicacy that's slow-moving, fast-cooked, and surprisingly slippery. In 2001, a music piece began in a German church. It won't end until the year 2640. That's over 600 years of performance. One chord can last months. It's called As Slow as Possible, because sometimes the music isn't about sound, it's about patience. Plastic bottles first replaced glass for soft drinks in the 1970s. Light, cheap, and shatterproof, they revolutionized the way people drank soda. Glass faded, plastic rose. It changed fridges, vending machines, and picnics forever. Twist, crackle, fizz, and the era of unbreakable refreshment officially began. The dollar sign, yeah, that fancy little S with a line through it, was first used way back in the late 1700s. Before that, people didn't have a cool symbol for money. Then in 1788, boom, the dollar got its own superhero cape. One little squiggle changed cash forever. The term blue chip didn't start on Wall Street. It started in a casino. Back then, the blue poker chips were worth the most money. So when a company is called blue chip, it means it's top tier, high value, and plays in the big leagues. Born in gambling, raised in business. A DVD and a CD might look like twins, but don't be fooled. That shiny little disc we call a DVD can hold over 12 times more stuff than a CD. Movies, data, games. It's a storage superhero in disguise, hiding its power behind that mirror-like smile. There's a mailbox so deep, even fish swim past it. In Japan's Susami Bay, 10 meters underwater, sits the world's deepest postbox. Divers actually use it to send waterproof letters. It's like sending mail from the bottom of the sea. Part postcard, part treasure map. Sound loves water. It moves through it more than 4 times faster than it does in air. That's why whales can whisper across oceans while humans struggle to hear across a room. Water doesn't just splash, it speed boosts the sound like it's got a turbo engine. Every soccer ball is a mini masterpiece. It takes over 600 stitches and 32 leather panels to create one. It's not just a ball, it's a puzzle that gets kicked, curved, and scored across fields while carrying the dreams of millions in every bounce. Soccer isn't just a game, it's the heartbeat of the planet. From sandy beaches to frozen fields, more people follow this sport than any other. Fans scream, cry, and celebrate over a single goal. It's the one sport that turns strangers into family with just one kick. Volleyball wasn't born on a beach. It was created indoors in 1895 when someone mixed tennis, basketball, and a dash of creativity. They wanted a game that wasn't too rough. So volleyball was born, quick, bouncy, and now the world's favorite excuse to dive in the sand. In fancy countries, almost 1/3 of food ends up in the trash. Perfectly good apples, bread, veggies, tossed like yesterday's news. While some people go hungry, fridges and plates throw away feasts. It's a modern mystery. So much food, and yet so many empty stomachs. Lightning might be rare, but it's still a silent stalker. The odds of getting struck are around 1 in 600,000. But when it does hit, boom, skyfire. Still, you're more likely to win a weird bet with your friend than get zapped from the clouds. The first train wasn't exactly a speed demon. It chugged along at just 5 miles an hour, slower than a jog. People thought it was terrifyingly fast back then. Today, that's slower than your grandpa on a bicycle. But hey, it started the engine of a new world. Niagara Falls isn't just a pretty postcard, it's a beast. Every second, it could fill around 4,000 bathtubs. That's nature's version of a broken faucet turned up to maximum chaos. Standing near it feels like listening to Earth yell with water and wind at once. It takes one alligator to make a pair of shoes. But for boots, you'll need 3. Fashion has a wild cost when it borrows from the animal kingdom. So every time you see someone in gator boots, know that it wasn't just leather, it was once teeth and tail. Your strongest muscles aren't in your arms or legs, they're in your eyes. These tiny movers dart, adjust, and focus all day long without a break. Blink, squint, scan, repeat. They're like Olympic sprinters that never stop training. Your eyes don't sleep, they just power down for maintenance. Bananas are basically water wearing a yellow jacket. Around 3/4 of every banana is pure water. That's why they feel so soft, juicy, and easy to mush. When you eat one, it's not just fruit. It's nature's version of a hydration snack on a peel. White isn't just classy, it's the safest car color. It's the easiest to spot in the dark, in the fog, and even under blazing sun. Drivers in white cars are like glowing ghosts on the road, less likely to get bumped, dented, or scraped by surprise. In France, there's a town so tiny, its name is just one letter, Y. That's it, Y. It's like a shrug from the French alphabet. People live there, get mail, and even vote. Imagine telling someone you're from Y. From where? Why? That's what I'm asking. Toothbrushes are like the ghosts of travel. They're the #1 thing people forget to pack. Socks? Check. Phone? Got it. Passport? Safe? Toothbrush? Left behind, crying alone in the bathroom. Hotels know this. They stock up like mini dental superheroes waiting to save your breath. Your personal smell is yours alone, like a scent fingerprint. Only your identical twin might smell the same. That means when your dog sniffs you and wags its tail, it's recognizing your one-of-a-kind human scent. Smell. The secret identity no one talks about, but everyone notices.
So that's all for today. But wait, I've got something to say. Before you scroll, listen up. Only 7% of you are subscribed. And to that 93%, I've only got one thing left to say.
Please, I'm begging you. Please, I'm desperate. I don't know what to do. Please subscribe.